Chapter 268. I'll stay too. I'll see if I can help. This time, Yu took the initiative to stay. Her brother had broken through to a new realm. Although he had mastered the power of water and had Shui Wuxia's help, she was still not 100% at ease. Because she was worried that Yu Yang would lose control during his breakthrough, Yu didn't think too much about herself. She felt that she should stay and help him at the most crucial moment. All right, it's decided then. Princess Sisai and City Mistress Fallen Flowers were secretly happy as they looked at each other and smiled. They were originally prepared to persuade Yu to stay, but it seemed like there was no need for that anymore. An and Yu Bing were a little envious. They couldn't help. The only thing they could do was to obediently go back to rest and not cause trouble for their brother and sister. Hui Tai Lang, who was in the courtyard, had been sleeping. Its body was getting used to the power of Hu Wei's orb. From time to time, there would be smoke coming out from its mouth and nose. Its tail was also slowly turning into a flaming tail. Yu Yang had visited it a few times, and every time, he would transfer some innate qi to it to help it absorb the orb's energy faster. Although Hui Tai Lang's absorption speed was 100 times faster than other beasts, Hu Wei's orb was still an innate. However, Hu Wei's orb was an innate ranked orb after all. Its energy was too huge. It couldn't be absorbed in a short period of time. Yu Yang estimated that this fellow would need to sleep for at least half a month, or even longer, before it could completely digest the orb. Yu Yang was also looking forward to how much its strength would increase by then. However, no matter how powerful Hui Tai Lang was, it wouldn't be his turn to be the boss. Bloody Queen Red had started absorbing Goblin General Zi Diao's orb much earlier than Hui Tai Lang. Barbarian Cow Shadow Man had absorbed Dream Eater Goblin General's orb. What was even more terrifying was that the thorny flower demoness that Yu Yang had named as Duo had not only swallowed Mr. Duan Mu and Lu He's corpses, she had also swallowed the Plum Leopard Brothers, the Bear Brothers by Lin, Hu Wei, the Flying Tiger Ambassador, and even the 9-headed Goblin Marshal's corpses. Even if they dug out the orb from the Eastern Goblin Tribe's corpses, it would be a great supplement. Furthermore, there were 2 human innate rankers. After digesting this thorny flower demoness, she should be able to evolve into a golden-crowned thorny flower queen. In that case, could it reach the terrifying battle prowess it had 3,000 years ago and easily destroy the demon army and the 2 blood prison demon kings? Yu Yang had never doubted it. He felt that the golden-crowned thorny flower queen that he had groomed would only be stronger than the thorny flower fairy's golden-crowned thorny flower queen from 3,000 years ago. As for little Wen Li, Yu Yang had given her the inner core of the 9-headed Goblin Marshal so that she could absorb it to level up. She actually waved her hand and refused. This little Lamia lowly could awaken her potential by herself. She didn't need to absorb external energy to grow quickly. If she could absorb energy, she would only absorb Yu Yang's innate qi. This was the only pure energy that she liked. She didn't care about the dragon crystal or the inner core. Yu Yang guessed that this little girl was picky because he had spoiled her. How could other people's beasts be like this? If it was another person's beast, forget about an inner core, even a dragon crystal would probably make them crazy with joy. Yu Yang had thought that after breaking through the 5th level of innate invisible sword qi, he would enter the Black Jade Necklace's black hole sealed space and wake up Queen Vivian Li. He wanted to ask her how to raise little Wen Li. Maybe he didn't find the right way to raise her. At the same time, Yu Yang also wanted to ask Ji Zun, the Eastern Goblin Tribe's Dragon Emperor, and the great golden-winged Peng about the secret information. Empress Fei Jili would definitely know if she was stronger than them. Yu Yang, who was preparing to borrow Shui Wuxia's help to break through the 5th level of innate invisible sword qi, was currently lacking the ice element of his Yin ability. Because the Yang ability around him was too strong, his Yin ability was suppressed. Cultivating by himself would take too long, so it was best to borrow Shui Wuxia's help to quickly break through to the next level. When Shui Wuxia cooperated with Yu Yang to cultivate, she didn't have as many concerns as Yu. She directly used the more intimate body fusion movements. Normally, she wouldn't hug him. But now that they were cultivating, Shui Wuxia took the initiative to hug Yu Yang from behind. She wrapped her arms around his chest and her slender legs came from behind and wrapped around his waist. Her chest was pressed tightly against his back. When Yu Yang started to control his Yang ability, she also started to use her Yin ability. A strange phenomenon appeared in the house. The area in front of Yu Yang was extremely hot, like a blazing sun, like a boiling sea of fire. Behind Shui Wuxia, however, was a bone-chilling cold. Snow and frost constantly condensed on the ground, the walls, and the ceiling, forming a white frost flower. Between the two of them, a huge circle of ice and fire formed by the power of the Yang ability and the power of the Yin ability was constantly rotating. The two kinds of energy, the purple flame and the cold ice, were flowing together, forming an energy tornado. Extremely thin purple lightning was crackling. Yu Yu, Princess Sisai, and Castellan Fallen Flowers, who were guarding outside the door, were dumbfounded. Yu Yang's cultivation with Yu was nothing compared to his and Shui Wuxia's cultivation. During this body fusion training, Shui Wuxia wasn't passive like Yu. Instead, she actively cooperated with Yu Yang. Every time he increased his Yang ability, she would cooperate with him and increase her Yin ability. In the end, even Yu Yang didn't expect a miracle to happen. The ice and fire tornado. In fact, there were even purple lightning bolts. With Shui Wuxia's full cooperation and her perfect Yin ability, Yu Yang's breakthrough of the 5th stage of innate invisible sword qi was 100 times smoother than he had imagined. In his heart, he felt a comfortable and carefree feeling of soaring 90,000 li in the sky. He broke through the 5th stage of innate invisible sword qi in an instant. Furthermore, because of the perfect combination of ice and fire, Yu Yang felt that other than his strength soaring, he also had a strange feeling of rushing to the 6th level, rushing to an even higher realm. It was as if he could control the entire world in his hands, overlooking the world. The sky was high and the earth was wide. Everything in the world could be seen in his eyes, hidden in his chest. That kind of feeling of truly controlling the entire world, Yu Yang could clearly feel it. It was so real. Although he could not climb to the 6th level, Yu Yang had already understood the direction of his future growth. He finally knew how he should cultivate in the future. Shui Wuxia, the mysterious beauty who loved to read books, not only gave him the help of the Yin ability, but also the breakthrough of the innate invisible sword qi. Most importantly, she let him see the future, see hope. He had a goal for his future growth. Yu Yang didn't need to worry that his growth would deviate or that he would be stuck at a bottleneck like others. He also didn't need to worry that his potential would be limited and his future achievements would be limited. Oh my God! Qian, Fallen Flowers, and Yu were completely dumbfounded. Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia were not injured at all in the fire and ice tornado and the purple lightning. However, their clothes had already turned into ashes and disappeared without a trace. Shui Wuxia didn't get distracted because of this. She seemed to know what Yu Yang needed. There was no need for words. They were completely connected. She leaned forward and kissed Yu Yang, who was slightly tilting his head back. Their lips met. The Yin ability and Yang ability interacted in their mouths and were transmitted to each other at the same time. They circulated in each other's body and then flowed back into their mouths. Their summoning grimoires automatically appeared at the same time. The barrier of light fused together and rose up like a rainbow, forming a raging tornado of ice and fire outside the barrier, while the inside of the barrier was completely undisturbed, only the quiet flow of energy. It was a spectacle like that. Countless mysterious ancient runes appeared on Yu Yang's skin. Similarly, on Shui Wuxia's snow-white body, there were also mysterious ancient runes. However, the number was much less than Yu Yang's, and the pattern was not as complicated as Yu Yang's. Most of the ancient runes on the surface of the two people's bodies floated in midair and reassembled. A few of them moved towards each other's skin and magically connected with each other's skin. The Yang ability and Yin ability circulated in the runes, becoming more and more pure. Finally, two beams of light shot out from their summoning grimoires and rose straight to the sky. They were more than 10 meters high. Yu Yang's summoning grimoire was a brilliant golden beam of light, while Shui Wuxia's summoning grimoire was a pure white beam of light. What was even more amazing was that the two beams of light began to move under the effect of the fire and ice tornado. They gradually fused together, forming a smaller but brighter beam of light. It stopped on top of Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia's kissing heads. After an unknown period of time, the beam of light disappeared, and the fire and ice tornado also gradually stopped. Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia kept kissing, but suddenly they fell to the ground together. Their hands and feet moved slightly, as if they were about to let go, but in an instant, they were frozen by a huge ice energy. They were frozen while kissing. Outside was a huge ring of fire, and inside were two people who were like ice sculptures. Qian, Fallen Flowers, and Yu Yu looked at each other. They didn't know what to do. Were Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia still training together, or had it already ended? Were the two of them in the middle of training, or had an accident happened? Xiao Wenli suddenly turned into a rainbow light and appeared. She immediately screamed when she saw them. She hurriedly threw herself on Yu Yang's body. It was only then that Princess Sisai and the others realized that something was wrong. Immediately, the three girls rushed over recklessly. They didn't know how to save them, but in a hurry, they didn't have time to think. Yinan and Yu Bing, who had been awoken by the previous commotion and were hiding in the distance, saw Princess Qian and Luo Hua city mistress rushing into the house. They also heard Yu Yu's terrified scream. They were scared half to death and quickly ran over. When they stepped into the ring of fire, they didn't even have time to think of a way to remove the ice. Suddenly, in Yu Yang's dantian, there was a ball of nirvana flame burning. It turned into a nirvana flame pillar. The reverberating sound of nature resounded in the souls of the girls. Yinan and Yu Bing, who rushed into the ring of fire, immediately fainted. When Yu Yu saw them rushing in, she turned pale with fright. Before she could send them out of the burning range of the nirvana flame pillar, she also fainted and fell to the ground. Princess Sisai and City Master Fallen Flowers persevered a little longer, but within a few seconds, they couldn't take it anymore and fell to the ground. Before they fainted, they vaguely saw a pair of colorful magical creatures flying, circling, and pouncing towards them with nirvana flame. When Princess Qian and Luo Hua city mistress slowly woke up, they realized that they were completely naked. They were only covered with a sheet. Beside them, Yu Bing, and Yinan were sleeping. Is it because of the blood? Are you trying to say that my blood and his cannot be fused together? City Master Fallen Flowers turned her head and saw Shui Wuxia, who was dressed in black, asking the naked little Wenli, yes. Little Wenli laid on Yu Yang's body and nodded cutely, but soon shook her head, showing that what she said was not entirely correct. Then, was it because Yu Yang and I did not cooperate well when we separated at the last moment, and, after vomiting blood, our blood mixed together, causing the ice and fire to go out of control? But that's not right. The energy that could freeze us is something that I didn't originally possess. Moreover, it triggered his nirvana flame in the end. Little Wenli, tell me, what exactly happened? Little Wenli still couldn't speak. Maybe she could, but she couldn't express it in words. After all, she was still a child. What exactly happened? Princess Sisai couldn't care less about her naked body, and quickly asked Shui Wuxia. When we separated at the last moment, he might have sobered up and wanted to let go of me, but I don't know that he was sober and didn't cooperate well. Our bodies were shaken, our internal organs were slightly injured, and we vomited blood. I didn't think that when our blood fused together, it would be so terrifying. Shui Wuxia also had a lingering fear. It's okay, this is a good thing. City Mistress Fallen Flowers felt as if she had been cleansed by the nirvana flame. Her whole body felt comfortable, as if she had been reborn. When she summoned her grimoire, she realized that her inherent skills and guardian beasts had all leveled up. She was so excited that she jumped up and danced. Princess Sisai looked up and realized that Fallen Flowers' snow-white body was like jade. Her virgin peaks were swaying, and her two red plums, Ingluo, were trembling nonstop. Under her navel, There was a black color that was breathtakingly attractive. Princess Sisai had a headache as she covered her eyes. I say, Sister Fallen Flowers, can you put on your clothes first? Luckily, I don't like women. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to control myself. City Mistress Fallen Flowers was embarrassed when she heard this. She looked around. Everything in the room had been destroyed by the Nirvana flame, so there were no clothes. The bed sheets and the like were probably brought over by Shui Wuxia from another room. In a moment of desperation, she didn't look for clothes, but rushed over and tore off the snow-white bedsheet that was covering Qian Qian's body. Princess Sisai cried out in shock. What are you doing? City Mistress Fallen Flowers' answer made her fall to the ground. I let you see. You can't hide anything. Everyone is naked. That's fair. What made Princess Sisai feel the most crazy and embarrassed was that City Mistress Fallen Flowers curiously pulled her leg and cried out, You really are a white tiger? Let me see. Why are you different from me? Where's your Xiao Qiao? Scram! Princess Sisai was furious. She wanted to punch Fallen Flowers away, but she couldn't bear the embarrassment in her heart. But in the end, she couldn't help but feel embarrassed. She snatched a sheet and wrapped herself up. Then, she ran back to her room to put on her clothes. City Mistress Fallen Flowers burst out with curiosity and asked Shui Wuxia if Princess Sisai was a little white tiger. Shui Wuxia replied, You're so boring. When City Mistress Fallen Flowers made a cute face at her, she said with certainty, It must be. Although I didn't see it very clearly, Qian Qian's body was naked. It's different from mine and everyone else's, ha-ha. Princess Sisai had sharp ears and heard it when she was changing clothes in her room. She warned her frantically, Fallen Flowers girl, if you dare to talk nonsense, I'll strip you naked and throw you into Yu Yang's bed. I'll let that big pervert eat you in one bite. Luo Hua's city mistress was not threatened at all. She laughed until her shoulders shook and the red plum blossoms on her chest trembled. I'm not afraid. I'm already engaged to him. With the order of my parents and the words of the matchmaker, although I'm not married yet, I'll be his sooner or later. On the contrary, you, Qian Qian, if you don't beg me obediently, then I'll expose your little secret to Yu Yang. Haha, I think his eyes will definitely shine when he hears it. Princess Sisai heard her counterattack and almost fainted. Sickly Beauty, who had just returned after sending off Drunken Cat, muttered to herself, Did I miss something? Shui Wuxia carried Anan and walked past her. She replied softly, No, you came back at the right time. When Sickly Beauty heard this, her originally pale face suddenly turned bright red. Even her pink neck was burning. She seemed to understand what Shui Wuxia meant. Sickly Beauty's lips trembled slightly, as if she wanted to refute Shui Wuxia's hint. However, she looked at Shui Wuxia and then turned to look at Yu Yang, who was sleeping soundly. Even though he was covered with a blanket, he still had a small tent on his head. In the end, she did not speak. She lowered her head and revealed a shy expression. Chapter 269. When Yu Yang woke up, he realized that the sky was clear and the air was fresh. His whole body felt indescribably comfortable. His 5 senses and 6 senses had improved greatly. His vision and hearing, which were already very sharp, now felt as if they had been enhanced. Yu Yang raised his eyes and looked into the distance. About 100 meters away, a small butterfly was fluttering in the air. He could actually see it clearly. Yu Yang even had a kind of premonition in his heart. He could predict the little butterfly's next flight path based on its original flight path. In this new realm, a kind of magical feeling of controlling heaven and earth and looking down on all living things arose spontaneously. Although it was still very weak, at least he already had this kind of control ability. As his strength continued to increase, this ability would become even stronger. When he reached the pinnacle of the realm, he believed that he would be able to possess the heavenly sword goddesses, shattering the void, destroying the heavens and earth. He would also have her transforming sword chi into a human, creating things with divine thought, unparalleled power. How did you sleep? Shui Wuxia was sitting not far from Yu Yang. She was reading a book and asked casually when she saw that Yu Yang had woken up. It would be perfect if there were a few more beauties in my dreams. Yu Yang laughed. There will be in the future, Shui Wuxiao replied, and continued to read. This is too exaggerated. Yu Yang saw that his room had been destroyed. There was nothing left of the roof. He couldn't help but sweat profusely. He remembered that he had caused a huge mess when he was training, but he didn't expect it to be this bad. This was even more destructive than a hurricane. Just as he was about to ask Shui Wuxia, he suddenly realized that this girl was a little different from before. After looking carefully, he realized that there was a small silver rune between her eyebrows. It was like a headpiece that matched her face very well. He couldn't help but praise. What's with this rune? It doesn't look like it was drawn on. It's much better today. There was a pattern yesterday. Shui Wuxia didn't even raise her head. Ever since she started cultivating with Yu Yang, a mysterious and beautiful rune appeared between her eyebrows. She could not understand it, no matter how hard she thought about it. After a day, most of the runes had disappeared, and only a small rune was left. It would probably disappear in another day or two. Shui Wuxia couldn't figure out what it meant. She couldn't figure out what it was used for, so she could only treat it as a decoration. The rune pattern appearing on her forehead was not the only one. After cultivating body fusion with Yu Yang and helping him reach a new realm, Shui Wuxia had also improved. She realized that there seemed to be a hidden power in her body that had been awakened. It could be because of Yu Yang's body fusion training, or it could be because of the Nirvana Flame's purification of her body, or it could be because of other reasons. In short, there was now an additional type of extremely cold energy in her body. It was a destructive cold energy that was close to Nirvana's flame, just slightly weaker. It was different from Nirvana's flame. Nirvana's flame could destroy, but it could also purify and regenerate. It was a type of Nirvana's flame that could benefit its owner and make its enemies tremble in fear. The cold energy in Shui Wuxia's body could only destroy, but it couldn't regenerate. It was similar to the World Exterminating Wheel. Of course, the World Exterminating Wheel was a terrifying existence. If it was thrown out, it would definitely kill someone instantly. Moreover, Yu Yang had not been able to unleash the full power of the World Exterminating Wheel. Otherwise, it would be even more terrifying. This kind of cold energy was similar to the World Exterminating Wheel. Shui Wuxia reckoned that if she could completely control it, she might be able to make a weapon similar to the World Exterminating Wheel. At the very least, she could make it into an ice ball and freeze everything that was hit by the ice ball. Yu Yang's purple yang flame was so powerful, but he still turned into an iceman under this kind of cold energy. If it wasn't for the Nirvana's flame, the consequences would be unimaginable. Shui Wuxia reckoned that if she were to use this kind of energy, even an innate rancor or even an innate level 1 or 2 would have a headache. Of course, Shui Wuxia decided to keep it as a secret weapon. She would not use it easily until the very last moment. This was because this extremely cold energy seemed to be able to freeze its owner. This was different from the Nirvana's flame and the World Exterminating Wheel. Yu Yang's Nirvana's flame and World Exterminating Wheel were definitely beneficial to him. Wuxia, let's train together again tonight. I guarantee that there won't be any mistakes this time. Yu Yang felt that it was really a blessed life to be hugged by a little beauty while he trained. Everyone's heart dropped because of you. They haven't even returned to their original positions yet. You go do your own thing. Don't disturb me while I'm reading. Shui Wuxia continued to read her book, ignoring Yu Yang's harassment. Summoning his grimoire, Yu Yang realized that although his grimoire did not level up, it was completely different from before. Firstly, it had become more ancient and thick. Countless runes and patterns appeared at the edge of the grimoire, forming a unique arrangement. Right now, the grimoire was like a part of his body, an extension of his arm. He didn't even need to touch its pages. He just needed to think about it, and it would open up. His divine vision had leveled up from level 4 to level 5. Just as Yu Yang was preparing to combine Naked Eye technique, he suddenly realized that after he had broken through to the 5th level of innate invisible sword chi, Naked Eye technique had become divine vision. This combination had become the divine vision, that Yu Yang had been waiting for. Yu Yang no longer needed to spend half a day to successfully use naked eye technique. He could do it with just a thought. He turned his head to look and realized that Shui Wuxia's clothes were quickly disappearing under his divine vision, revealing her perfect proportions and snow-white skin. Just as he was about to take a closer look, suddenly, Shui Wuxia used her white hands to cover the two red plums on her chest, and a book flew towards Yingluo. Yu Yang, who was almost drooling, was smashed to the ground. Only now did he realize that when he used divine vision to look at Shui Wuxia, she could sense his thoughts. The reason was that in the Virgo Temple, Yu Yang, Shui Wuxia, Yu Bing, and Inan had obtained the heart mirror skill. Normally, Yu Yang did not have any spiritual communication with the three of them, but as long as he concentrated and used divine vision to look at them, it would be equivalent to inviting them to communicate with them. Hence, Shui Wuxiao immediately felt that Yu Yang wanted a peek, unless Yu Yang trained to the point where he could see through things without concentrating. Otherwise, when he used divine vision to look through Shui Wuxia, Inan, and Yu Bing's clothes, he would definitely be discovered by them. Idiot, you have such good skills, but you don't use them on the right path. Shui Wuxiao was angry at him for not living up to her expectations. I was just trying. I didn't think that I would really be able to see. Yu Yang was shameless. Since she was his future wife, there was nothing wrong with peeking at her. Sooner or later, a little lamb would be eaten by a big bad wolf. After Yu Yang made such a ruckus, Shui Wuxiao remembered something. She took out a small jade bottle, which still had her body temperature, and passed it to Yu Yang. There's my blood inside. Mix your blood with mine and see what reaction there is. What's going on? Yu Yang was indifferent to the secret of his blood. This experiment, not only Shui Wuxiao was curious about it, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Princess Sisai, and the others were also curious. When they heard that Yu Yang had woken up and was talking to Shui Wuxia, they all ran over, just in time to see Yu Yang's great, dripping blood experiment. Yu Yang found a small cup and poured out the blood in the jade bottle. He dripped 2 drops, then used his gold-ranked dragon-slaying dagger to cut his finger and drip 2 or 3 drops. At first, there was no reaction. Yu Yang was a little disappointed. He wanted to say, I'm not a giant dragon, nor a demon. I don't have that kind of blood that would ignite on the ground. Legend has it that if the strongest hell black dragon and the strongest blood prison demon king were injured, their dripping blood could ignite the rocks and soil on the ground and melt them into magma. Of course, this was just a legend. No one had the ability to prove it. If there was an innate ranker who could beat the hell black dragon and the blood prison demon king until they bled, they wouldn't pay attention to such a small matter. Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia's blood mixed together. The small cup burst into flames and quickly rose into the air. This gave Yu Yang fright. Following that, the flames turned into sharp ice cubes in the shape of fire. In the end, the ice cubes burned like fire and turned into nothingness. All the girls were dumbfounded. Yu Yang couldn't explain the reason either. The only thing he could explain was, everyone can see that this proves one point. Wuxia and I are a pair destined to be together in our previous life, just like ice and fire. No, I mean just like ice and fire, they can get along without any obstacles. Nonsense. All the girls rolled their eyes at him. Let me try. City Master Fallen Flowers was a little envious. If her blood could have a special reaction with this brat, then wouldn't they be destined to be together in their previous life? After her blood mixed with Yu Yang's, it emitted a faint white light that was extremely gentle. City Master Fallen Flowers was so moved that she shed tears. She was really afraid that there wouldn't be any reaction at all. Although the reaction wasn't as strong as Wuxia's, there was at least a reaction. City Master Fallen Flowers felt relieved. However, Princess Sisai and Inan's hearts were even higher. After Wuxia, Fallen Flowers also succeeded. What about herself? If she didn't succeed, then it would be too much of a failure. But this kind of thing was really hard to say. Princess Sisai was ready to slip away and hide like an ostrich. City Master Fallen Flowers grabbed her. Regardless of Princess Sisai's struggling, she forcefully dragged her to the table. Princess Sisai saw that she couldn't hide. She put on a so-be-it attitude and used the gold-ranked dragon-slaying dagger to make a cut on her finger. After dripping the blood, there was no reaction for a long time. Princess Sisai's heart was in despair. She wanted to cry, but her mouth tried to be brave. I already said that I have nothing to do with this brat. You just don't believe me. Just as she finished speaking, the cup strangely shattered. Princess Qian was extremely touched, but she pretended to be relaxed. Her voice was already a little choked as she said, "This doesn't count. It's the quality of the cup that's not good." Yu Yang saw this and started to think. He remembered that when he was fighting against the Marquis of Zijin, the thorny flower demoness licked the blood on his chest and arms. At that time, he thought that she liked to lick people like a puppy. Now that he thought about it, she already knew that his blood had a special effect. He remembered that the thorny flower demoness leveled up mysteriously. Looks like his blood was really different from the others. Of course, this might be because he had trained in the innate invisible sword chi, which allowed his body to accumulate a large amount of pure energy. The girls didn't disturb Yu Yang's thoughts. They only continued to test noisily. Not only Anan and Yu Bing who were eager to try. Even Yu Yu and Sickly Beauty who were resisting also tested. Chapter 270. After Inan's blood fused with Yu Yang's blood, the strange reaction was the spirit power. The slight spirit fluctuation could not be seen by the eyes or heard by the ears, but everyone could clearly feel its existence. Yu Bing's strange reaction was the vitality. At first, there was no reaction for a long time. Yu Bing's eyes turned red. After thinking about it, Shui Wuxia plucked a small flower bud from outside and gently inserted it into the cup. In the end, to everyone's surprise, the flower bud that was about to bloom bloomed in an instant. At the same time, it sprouted in the cup and grew rapidly. In less than 3 minutes, it turned into a big, beautiful, blooming flower. Yu Bing, the little girl, hugged Yu Yang, crying and laughing at the same time. She did not think that she and her brother were destined to be a couple in their previous lives. She just could not accept that she had no relationship with her brother. She felt that she should be the closest to her brother. Sickly Beauty's blood fused with Yu Yang's blood and turned into a blood-red crystal. Yu Yang and the girls looked at it and understood a little. Only Yu Yu was unwilling to accept the test at first. However, due to the violence of Fallen Flower's city governor and Princess Isai, she had no choice but to drip her blood to test it. After the fusion, the strange reaction formed a big cup of slightly sweet water. Yu Yang's blood can stimulate the talent of everyone's blood, or the hidden ability that everyone is not aware of. Shui Wuxia concluded. Yes, that's it. Fallen Flower City Governor completely agreed with this conclusion. Although that's the case, Wuxia, can you explain why your blood has the biggest reaction? Princess Isai was defeated just now, so she decided to fight back. Wuxia and Yu Yang's blood should have the most resonance, and the energy is also bigger and purer, so the reaction is the biggest. I felt that their blood wasn't as simple as ice and fire. It was worth studying. Of course, Yu Yang's blood has the ability to activate his innate skill, so we must keep it a secret. Sickly Beauty reminded them to keep it a secret. That's not right. His blood does have the effect of activating one's innate talent, but not everyone is like that. I've already tested it with the blood of small animals. His blood is only effective on us. It doesn't have any effect on other creatures. We have to keep the secret, but we don't have to worry about accidentally leaking it. I'm guessing that the rune's energy has changed or unsealed our bodies, similar to how Yu Yang unsealed his innate strength, or Yu Yang's nirvana flame has purified our bodies. That's why our blood has such a reaction with his blood, and that's why it's so different. Shui Wuxia made a bold guess. There are all kinds of reasons. Yu Yang understood a little bit of the truth, but he felt that it might not be right. He decided not to say it for now. He would study it slowly in the future. Sickly Beauty nodded and said softly, "Everyone, please calm down. I want to talk about the situation outside." When she opened her mouth, all the girls looked at her. They were anxious to know if the Eastern Goblin Tribe had released Jun Wu Yu and the others. Demonic Palace, Thousand Goblin Sect, Green Summit Sect, Western Lion Pagoda, and Zijin Kingdom, what kind of reaction did they have? They would definitely not let go of such a rare opportunity. Even if they didn't do anything in the open, they would still do something behind the scenes. Yu Yang felt that it didn't matter. They could just turn this soaring dragon continent upside down. As long as the people were still there, as long as Jun Wu Yu Elder Yu Hai, Feng Xiao Yun, Shui Wen Dao, Yin Qian Zhong, Feng Kuang, Eagle Eye, Eastern Sky King, Western Sky King, Master Golden Blade, White Stone City Master, and other human elites were still there. Even if the Xia Kingdom was destroyed, they could still rebuild it from the ruins. As for the younger generation, there was Shui Tamlang, Feng Qisha, Yin Pejun, Prince of Tianluo, and Dragon Ambassador Qin Lan Yu from the Eastern Ocean Crystal Palace. Furthermore, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, Li Brothers, and the others had also caught up. With the elites from Shangjing Academy, Fragrance Academy, and Ivy Academy, the soaring dragon continent wouldn't be reduced to a miserable state where there were only mediocre people. Bai Yunfei from the Southern Floating Mist sect, Prince of Zijin, Yu Tian, Yu Yin, Shui Qianren, and Lai Ban could be ignored. They would probably only stand behind the victors. It didn't matter who won or lost. Prince of Zijin was still a big tumor. This fellow's ambition wasn't small. The next time Yu Yang saw him, he would definitely kill him. The shadow of Bai Yunfei, the young sect leader of the Floating Mist sect, flashed through Yu Yang's mind. Bai Yunfei was scheming and had great endurance. Yu Yang was definitely not afraid of him. If it was someone else, even Shui Tamlang, Yi Kong, or Fatty Hai, they wouldn't be his match. This fellow, if there was a chance, even if Yu Yang didn't kill him, he would definitely suppress him so that he wouldn't have a chance to make a comeback. Otherwise, he would be even more dangerous than Prince of Zijin. While Yu Yang was thinking, Sickly Beauty had already started to explain. Right now, the situation outside is very bad. The Xia Kingdom doesn't have an emperor anymore, and there are many rebellions everywhere. The horse bandits have risen up under the support of some other powers, plundering everywhere. Not only did the various city masters not send out their troops to suppress them, they even secretly colluded with the horse bandits to exploit the people's wealth. There are very few city masters who are loyal to the Xia Kingdom. Furthermore, it's already hard for them to protect their own cities, not to mention supporting the capital. The State Grandmaster and the two Heavenly Imperial Guardians have already gone to the Eastern Goblin Tribe. The Left Minister has temporarily supported the Crown Prince to become the regent, but the Right Minister wants to choose the strongest second prince as the new emperor. The officials are more willing to welcome Qian back as the regent. In short, it's very chaotic. Let them fight to their heart's content. I won't go back to fight with them for the throne. Princess Sisai snorted coldly. How's the situation with the Eastern Goblin Tribe? City Master Fallen Flowers was more concerned about her father's return. It said that the Eastern Goblin Tribe has already ordered for them to be released. However, His Majesty Jun Wu Yu and the others can't return to the soaring dragon continent smoothly because the Eastern Goblin Tribe is also rebelling. The Southern Demon King, the Northern Goblin King, and the Western Goblin King are all rebelling crazily. The war is like a tidal wave. Your Majesty and the others did not reach the Dragon Emperor's Rainbow Treasure Palace. They were stopped halfway. The Dragon Emperor had sent people to hide them secretly. I reckon that Your Majesty and the others will only be able to return safely after the Dragon Emperor has successfully quelled the rebellion, or after the war has stopped. The Eastern Goblin Tribe has sent a special envoy to meet with the State Grandmaster. The State Grandmaster and the two Heavenly Imperial Guardians have already decided to go there personally to see if they could bring Your Majesty and the others back as soon as possible. Sickly Beauty's words made Yu Yang ponder deeply. As expected, the enemies did not stop their attacks. They had planned this beforehand. They would not let the matter rest. If it wasn't for the unexpected change in the situation, these fellows' plan would have been executed perfectly. The Eastern Goblin Tribe was so powerful, yet they could still cause such a ruckus. Would there be any exceptions in the soaring dragon continent? Yu Yang shook his head lightly. Sickly Beauty paused for a moment and intentionally looked at Yu Yang, Yu Yu, and Yu Bing. The girls were a little worried. It seemed that the upcoming matter was related to Yu Yang, and it wasn't simple at all. Only Shui Wuxia seemed to have known that things would develop to this stage. She quietly reached out her hand and pressed on the back of Yu Yang's waist, hinting him to control his temper and not be impulsive. Yu Yang knew that she wanted to give him a reminder and support. He couldn't help but feel warm in his heart as he nodded slightly. With Shui Wuxia and the girls supporting him, Yu Yang didn't care if the soaring dragon continent was going to collapse. To him, this was just a continent filled with NPCs. Only the warm little home in Whitestone City was worth remembering. Only Fourth Mother and the little girl were his family. No matter how the enemies plotted against him, Yu Yang would just watch coldly from the side. He definitely wouldn't do something like saving the world or saving the entire human race in a moment of hot-headedness. Everyone had their own way of survival. Only the fittest would survive, and the weak would be eliminated. If they were really strong, they would stand out in this chaotic world. If they were weak and were killed, then they could only blame themselves for not having the ability to survive. Yu Yang himself was a guy from another world. He was also walking on this cruel law of survival. There were no exceptions, and there was no exception. Only by defeating the enemies, only by moving forward bravely could one survive. In this world, cowardice was useless, tears were useless. The fake Yu Qiu, who was suspected to be Yu Yang's father, has now gathered dozens of big and small clans. With the support of two mysterious innates, he has announced that he has reconciled with the Green Summit sect and established friendly relations with the Zijin Kingdom. At the same time, he has cleared the name of the Thousand Goblins sect. When Sickly Beauty said this, the girls were all dumbfounded. Sweat, it can't be. No one from the Yu clan objected. City Mistress Fallen Flowers felt that it was unimaginable. The fake Yu Qiu had already used strong evidence to prove that the substitute clan master Yu Shan was a corrupted warrior who colluded with demons. He was even a demon who hid in the soaring dragon continent as a spy. When the fake Yu Qiu was trying to arrest him, an extremely strong demon rancor attacked and injured 3 elders of the clan and kidnapped Yu Shan. When Yu Beauty said this, Yu almost fainted on the ground. If her father Yu Shan was a demon, then what about herself? Sickly Beauty waved her hand lightly. Not only Sister Yu, Yu Tian and Yu Ting are also targets of arrest. Yu Tian has already been arrested, and Yu Ting is missing. Yu Bing panicked when she heard this. Sister Yu is not a demon. This is impossible. Sickly Beauty looked at Yu Bing and nodded, confirming her words. However, she shook her head lightly. Actually, not only Sister Yu, but also Yu, Bing Er, and Yu Yang are all targets of arrest. Princess Sisai sweated profusely when she heard this. What? He even wants to arrest Yu Yang? Even if he doesn't care about the fact that Yu Yang is an innate, he is still a son in name. The Sickly Beauty stared at Yu Yang for a long time and said word by word. Yu Yang had already been declared to be an imposter by that fake Yu Qiu. He found another man who looked similar to him, but his power was only at the level of a level 6 elder to impersonate Yu Yang. That fake Yu Qiu said that his son Yu Yang had been following him since he was a baby. He lived in the demon realm and grew up in the demon abyss. He had never left him and was also taught by him. He said that the Yu Yang who was raised by Fourth Mother was fake. He even used the fact that Yu Yang was trash before the age of 20 and couldn't become an innate rancor after the age of 20 as evidence to prove that Yu Yang was fake. Hence, the fake Yu Qiu, the current Yu clan master, ordered the arrest of Fourth Mother, Yu Yang, Yu Bing, Yu Shuang, Yu Ting, Yu Shan, and so on. Not a single one of them was spared. This fellow is crazy. City Mistress Fallen Flowers felt that the fake Yu Qiu was really crazy. Very interesting. Yu Yang laughed. In his heart, he was secretly relieved. At first, he was worried that this fake Yu Qiu was the real one, so he didn't dare to meet the fake Yu Qiu. But now, Yu Yang didn't have to worry anymore. This fellow was definitely a fake, 100% fake. The reason was because Yu Yang had already seen it with his divine vision. In the diary that the real Yu Qiu and his wife wrote for their son, they recorded a completely different secret. If the pitiful guy had been living with his father, why would the Yu Qiu and his wife write a diary to reminisce about their son? Why would they ask fourth mother to take care of him? When Yu Yang heard that the fake Yu Qiu had made such a stupid and ruthless move, he really wanted to laugh out loud and clap his hands in celebration. If he didn't make such a move, that Yu Yang wouldn't dare to take the initiative to touch him. Now, as long as Yu Yang was free, he could just use his sword to chop that bastard up. Brother. Yu Bing's anger soared. She was just waiting for Yu Yang to say this. As long as her brother said that they should set off, she would immediately follow him to the Yu clan castle and attack that fake Yu Qiu. Yu Yang waved his hands, indicating that there was no need to be anxious. At this time, Shui Wuxiao also used her small hands to touch Yu Yang's back, hinting that she had something to say to Yu Yang in private. Come, I'll say a few words. What did this girl want to say to him? Yu Yang was very curious. Chapter 271. Princess Sisai and City Mistress Fallen Flowers couldn't hear what Shui Wuxia said to Yu Yang. However, when they saw that Yu Yang looked like he was about to transform into a werewolf, they knew that something bad was going to happen. Sickly Beauty turned around and left. She seemed to have understood something. Inan and Yu Bing were confused. They thought that Sister Wuxia had something that she couldn't tell them. Maybe it was about the Shui clan or the engagement. The two girls didn't think too much about it, especially Yu Bing. What she wanted the most right now was to charge into the Yu clan castle with her brother and chase away that fake Yu Qiu, restoring everyone's reputation. Bing Air, let me practice with you. City Mistress Fallen Flowers wasn't worried about her future with Yu Yang. This was because her father, the Eastern Sky King, and fourth mother had already arranged a marriage between her and Yu Yang. At that time, City Mistress Fallen Flowers was very angry. How could her father make a decision on his own? She didn't say that she had to marry Yu Yang. Now that the Eastern Sky King was captured by the Eastern Goblin tribe, she suddenly wasn't angry anymore. After all, there was only one father no matter how bad he was. The Eastern Sky King loved to brag, but strictly speaking, he was still a good father. Compared to Luo Hua City Mistress, Princess Qian Qian was a little more tragic. Junwu Yu called Yu Yang's grandfather, Elder Yu Hai, Brother Hai. They were of the same generation, and they even called each other brothers. If he betrothed his daughter to Yu Yang, the seniority would be messed up. No matter what, Junwu Yu was still an emperor, unlike the Eastern Sky King, who could force a marriage for his precious daughter. Junwu Yu couldn't do it, so he could only close one eye and pretend that he didn't know about the relationship between his daughter and Yu Yang. He agreed in his heart, but he couldn't say it out. The Yu clan also couldn't propose marriage. Miss Shui of the Shui family had been engaged since she was a baby. Although she had broken off the engagement, anyone with a discerning eye would know that it was actually a vicious plot. Inan, her aunt, was even faster than the Eastern Sky King. She had already made an agreement with fourth mother about the engagement between Inan and Yu Yang. Currently, the only one with an awkward status was Princess Sisai. If she were to leave just like that and return to her previous life, Princess Sisai herself felt that it would be a little difficult. Although Yu Yang was a big pervert, no matter if it was in cultivation or in life, he would always surprise her. If she couldn't see him, her life would be boring. However, she would be following Yu Yang from now on, and her identity was a little awkward. The others were either fiancés or sisters. She was still an outsider. So, Tigress, who used to be carefree and carefree, was now a little worried. Well, people are always full of worries when they grow up. It's all because of this damned pervert. I was actually living a good life. Princess Qian Qian had nothing to complain about. She could only blame Yu Yang. She felt that it was him who had disturbed her life. If he had continued to be a good-for-nothing mistress, then she would have nothing to do. For no reason, he suddenly turned from a good-for-nothing to a genius, causing trouble everywhere. In the end, he even got himself involved. How annoying. The more Princess Sisai thought about it, the angrier she got. When Yu Yang returned, she glared at him with her tiger-like eyes. What's going on? Yu Yang was naturally confused. I don't want to talk to you. Princess Sisai also felt that she was a little unreasonable. However, she couldn't lose face in front of Yu Yang, so she could only be tough to the end. Is this girl going through puberty recently? Does she need to be taught a lesson? Yu Yang was really baffled. Use your mind on training. Shui Wuxia, who was behind him, heard him mumbling to himself. She was exasperated that he didn't live up to her expectations. She almost smacked him to death with her book. A house full of children, if he wanted to teach a princess or a city mistress. Wouldn't that be as easy as waving his hand? However, the most important thing now was to increase his strength. In this chaotic world, if one didn't have strength, then he was nothing. He had to be the strongest in order to be able to do whatever he wanted. She felt that Yu Yang's path should be to increase his strength first, then enjoy a blissful sexual life. If it was the other way around, then he would be finished. With Shui Wuxia, his future wife, who was 100 times stricter than his teacher, watching over him, Yu Yang couldn't be lazy even if he wanted to. In the dream realm, there was a big lowly. In the outside world, with Shui Wuxia and a few other girls as his sparring partners, Yu Yang had lived a hellish training life for the past 10 days. In the morning, Princess Sisai, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Inan, and Yu Bing took turns to fight with Yu Yang. In the afternoon, Yu Yang and Shui Wuxia secretly developed a pill while refusing to leak the recipe. In the afternoon, he studied ancient runes with sickly beauty. In the evening, he went to the lake with Yu Yu to train, increasing her water power and beast stormy waves. At night, Yu Yang used his innate qi to help Inan and Yu Bing open up their meridians. Occasionally, City Mistress Fallen Flowers would come over, using the excuse of accompanying Yu Bing. At midnight, he trained with Shui Wuxia secretly. In his dreams, he fought with a big loli who had the same strength but 10 times better techniques. He would most likely be abused, and only his wolf hands could barely gain an advantage. This kind of life was like hell, an abyss of suffering. Yu Yang was suffering a lot. However, his strength increased very quickly. He who had just broken through the 5th level of innate sword qi quickly advanced towards the 6th level. At the same time, because his opponents were all beauties, he felt that there was still hope for this kind of life. At least he had 1 foot in the door of a blissful sexual life. In comparison, Hui Tai Lang was more comfortable. It had not woken up and was still sleeping soundly. Whenever Yu Yang passed by, he would kick it. Firstly, he was jealous that this fellow could level up without doing anything. Secondly, he wanted to inject some innate qi into it so that it could evolve better. When Hui Tai Lang was kicked, it would comfortably turn over in its sleep or move its limbs and continue to sleep. On this day, Yu Yang and Sickly Beauty were studying ancient runes. Suddenly, Sickly Beauty asked him coldly, "Have you finished refining the pill?" "I've already refined it long ago." Yu Yang replied indifferently at first, but immediately reacted and changed his words. "No, actually it's still lacking, just a little bit more." "Why do you listen to her?" Sickly Beauty seemed to be a little curious. "Who?" Yu Yang pretended to be confused. "I mean Wuxia. Why do you listen to her?" Sickly Beauty would not allow him to pretend to be confused in front of her, so she persistently questioned him. "This cough? I'll listen to whoever is reasonable. I'll also listen to you. For example, this rune." Yu Yang hurriedly changed the topic to the rune. He couldn't say that Wuxia was always thinking about his blissful sexual life. She was always working for the welfare of his blissful sexual life. Her previous pill refining was all in preparation to push the Sickly Beauty down and save her life. If he did not listen to this kind of exquisite wife, who else should he listen to? Yu Yang felt that he could ignore Wuxia's advice on other things, but when it came to picking up girls, it was definitely not wrong to listen to her advice. Who else would understand a woman's needs better than a woman? With Wuxia as a strategist, he would be able to use her to pick up girls and conquer them. That would definitely be a great success and a great victory. Although Yu Yang did not understand why Wuxia was willing to help him with his plans, he was sure that this girl did not have any selfish or evil intentions. She probably couldn't stand it and saw that Yu Yang was too stupid, so she decided to give him some pointers. It was just like an expert who saw a little shrimp in the pugilistic world and couldn't help but give a few pointers, making the little shrimp in the pugilistic world become a big shrimp. Sickly Beauty glared at him. "Don't talk about this rune anymore. These 2 days, your mind was not on the rune at all." Yu Yang was speechless. This sickly beauty's senses were also very strong. So she had already seen through his perverted intentions. She just did not point it out. Yu Yang gathered his courage and advised, "There is still hope for your body. Let's try. Moreover, the pill has already been concocted." When sickly beauty heard this, her originally pale face flushed red. She rolled her eyes at Yu Yang and turned to leave, ignoring Yu Yang's shouts from behind. Yu Yang hurriedly ran over to seek advice from his lady Wuxia. Miss Shui was furious. "Idiot! Why are you talking nonsense with her? Didn't I already tell you to disregard the consequences and make the first move to gain the upper hand? You already said it to her. She already knows about it. She has never seen an idiot like you before. What does she mean? She is jealous. She thinks that I was the one who suggested it, and not you. I understand what you mean, but if I forcefully push her down, her body is too weak. I was just afraid that she would get hurt." Yu Yang's forehead was full of sweat. "Who asked you to be so unreasonable? Not your actions. Yu Yang, get out of my sight immediately. I hate talking to idiots." Shui Wuxia raised her ancient book, ready to slap Yu Yang to death. He was obviously a wolf, yet he still wanted to be a pure wolf. This was too infuriating. "I understand, watch my performance." Yu Yang suddenly understood. Overjoyed, he ran away like a wisp of smoke. Shui Wuxia looked at Yu Yang's back, her face suddenly showing a peaceful expression. She muttered to herself in an extremely low voice, "Wu Hen, I can only do this much for you. You still have to rely on yourself." Sickly Beauty was packing her things. Her clothes, drawings, and scrolls were all neatly arranged, as if she was about to go on a long journey. Yu Yang rushed in, giving her a fright. Just as she was about to open her mouth, Yu Yang suddenly bent over and forcefully carried her in his arms, then ran out of the garden. Sickly Beauty was embarrassed and anxious at the same time. "What are you doing? Quickly put me down." "Nonsense, I'm going to get angry. Quickly let go, everyone can see." "Yu Yang, quickly stop. My body can't take it anymore. Quickly put me down. I'm going to cough. I'm so uncomfortable." Yu Yang carried Sickly Beauty and rushed out of the garden, running forward without stopping. No matter what Sickly Beauty said, he would not let go no matter what. After running for an unknown period of time, with Sickly Beauty struggling, Yu Yang decided to use teleportation. He did not have a destination, so he kept teleporting forward. After teleporting about 10 times, he was already 40 to 50 kilometers away from the garden. Yu Yang finally stopped at a lake that was dotted with pearls. The lake water was clear, light green with a tinge of blue. The water was so shallow that the bottom could be seen. Small fishes and prawns were swimming back and forth. Big and small freshwater pearl oysters were nestled together. Yu Yang put Sickly Beauty down, but as if he was afraid that she would run away, he hugged her slender waist with his right hand and explained to her, "Actually, I also want to treat your illness, but they are all by my side, so I'm a little embarrassed. Now that they are not here, I have to save you no matter what. This is what I want to do, not what Wuxia taught me. You should understand what I mean. Don't reject me anymore, okay? We shouldn't waste time. Your body has already reached its limit. If we don't treat you now, you will be in danger. If you want to wait until your illness is cured, then you can scold me if you want to. Now, you have to be obedient. I can't live without you, no matter if you hate me or something else. I have to save you." Before Sickly Beauty could speak, Yu Yang had already started to undress her clothes with his wolfish hands. This scared Sickly Beauty so much that she almost fainted. Although he said he wanted to save her, he was too perverted. Without saying a word, he stripped her clothes. This was even more savage than a bandit entering the city to rape a woman. Who taught him this move? Sickly Beauty realized that this brat's wolfish hands were very fast. With just a few movements, half of her clothes were already undone. She was even more shocked and hurriedly reached out to stop him. "Wait a minute, don't act recklessly. Let me think. At least, let me take a breather. My heart is beating like a drum. I can't breathe." "Wait a minute, I agree, but you have to stop first. Yu Yang, even if you want to save me for my own good, can you at least consider my feelings? If you forcefully do it like this, I can't take it anymore." When Yu Yang heard this, he still didn't dare to believe it. "You really agree?" The sickly beauty rolled her eyes at him helplessly. Can I not agree? I've never seen a barbarian like you before. Let me think for a while. I need a buffer in my thoughts. In the end, she lowered her head, not daring to look Yu Yang in the eye. With an extremely shy tone, she said almost inaudibly, I can't do it in the day. Let's talk about it at night. Chapter 272. After hearing Sickly Beauty's agreement, Yu Yang heaved a sigh of relief. Forcefully pushing her down depended on the target. For example, impatience, that kind of mature lady, forcefully conquering her would be extremely satisfying. But for this sickly beauty like Sister Lin, forcefully pushing her down was really inappropriate. Her body was like a jade vase made of sheep fat, white jade, or blue and white porcelain. It needed to be carefully cared for. It needed the most gentle kisses. If he could hold her in his hands and see her smile sweetly, that would be the greatest achievement in the world. Yu Yang quickly set up a small tent in the small forest beside the lake. Sickly Beauty knew that this was the love nest that he had prepared. And there it would be. She didn't even dare to look at this brat. Feeling a little helpless, she pretended not to see that he was busy and walked to the side of the lake. She sat on the rock beside the lake, took off her shoes, and soaked her jade-like ankles in the cool lake water. She was welcomed by a fresh and cool breeze. Her hair fluttered in the wind. Not only her hair, but also the thoughts of a young girl. Do you want to eat a fruit? Yu Yang made a fresh fruit with morning dew on it and washed it in the lake water. Dripping with water, he passed it to Sickly Beauty. Okay. Sickly Beauty actually didn't have a good appetite, but seeing Yu Yang's kind intentions, she nodded and pinched the fruit with her jade-like fingers. Actually, these 10 days have been the most relaxing days for me. In the past, I was so tense every day, with things coming one after another, plus all kinds of pressure in life, training, and so on. Living in the little flower garden has been the most relaxing time for me. Yu Yang also washed a fruit and jumped onto the rock beside the lake, sitting next to Sickly Beauty. Is that so? Sickly Beauty really wanted to say that she was the same, but when the words came to her mouth, she felt that she couldn't be like him, so she quickly changed her words. I'm not interested in fighting for power. If it wasn't for Fourth Mother and everyone looking forward to it, I would rather live my life like this, leisurely watching the blue water and blue sky, quietly watching the floating white clouds. Yu Yang lay on the rocks of the lake and looked at the sky. He recalled the different lives he had before and after he transmigrated, and he couldn't help but sigh. He would never mention this secret to anyone, even Shui Wuxia. The only place where Yu Yang could let go of his thoughts was in his own dream realm. The heavenly sword goddess and the big lowly were like relatives who had transmigrated together with him. Other than accompanying Yu Yang in his training, they also eliminated the deep loneliness in his heart. Perhaps they were not humans, but immortals or sword immortals. However, none of that mattered. What Yu Yang needed was a companion. As long as they were with him forever, nothing else mattered. Sickly Beauty did not know what was on Yu Yang's mind, but his words had triggered her thoughts. She felt that Yu Yang's words resonated with her. She did not care about the achievements that ordinary people had. What emperor of the ages? He could not compare to a poor scholar in her eyes. Although she did not mind if Yu Yang became an indomitable hero and created a great cause in the soaring dragon continent, she would rather see him live by her side, just like he did for the past 10 days. Every day, he would train with his sisters, play, bicker, and sleep peacefully. Of course, reality would not allow him to live like this for a long time. Demonic Palace, Thousand Goblin Sect, Western Lion Pagoda, Green Summit Sect, Zijin Kingdom, Demon Abyss Blood Prison, and even the Eastern Goblin Tribe were all eyeing him covetously. If he did not accept the challenge, the enemies would think of ways to force him to fight. In this chaotic world, one must fight. Rancors were also honed through bloody battles and grew up amidst piles of corpses. She knew that if it wasn't for her, he would have brought his sister to the Yu clan castle and killed the fake Yu Chio who had caused a mess in the Yu clan. He was the hope of the Yu clan. He must protect the Yu clan. If it wasn't for him helping her concoct pills to cure her illness, he would have already started his journey. If she continued to reject him, it would be a delay for him and the Yu clan. It might even be fatal, because time was the greatest enemy. There will be opportunities in the future. Sickly Beauty turned her face and comforted Yu Yang. At this time, she realized that Yu Yang had already fallen asleep. His face was filled with a happy smile, as if he was about to laugh out loud in his sleep. The gentle sunlight shone on his face, making his face shine brightly. Sickly Beauty realized that she had never looked at him so carefully before. It turned out that he was so gentle in his sleep. Right now, he was completely different from the perverted him who was awake. Normally, in order to protect himself, he would always hide his true self under the mask of laughter and anger. He would not expose his true self to the public easily. What people saw was always his strongest side. Maybe this was the real him. Sickly Beauty was a little touched. Her jade-like fingers gently caressed his face. On this face, it was different from his handsomeness and elegance. Only by ignoring his appearance and feeling it with one's heart would one discover that he had a unique charm that could not be described. This charm was hard to describe, but it could always quietly change everything around him. Under the influence of this kind of invisible charm, Qian, who had a strong personality, had unknowingly changed. The lonely fallen flowers had also changed. Wu Xia, who was extremely intelligent, arrogant, and unconventional, had come to his side. Even Yu Yang, who had always wanted to die, had gradually changed her mind because of him. He might not know that he had this kind of charm, or perhaps he didn't know that he had the ability to bring everyone together because of him. However, his actions, in his subconscious mind, had always been like this. Perhaps meeting him was the fabled bad karma that was destined to be repaid in this life. There was no way to escape. Sickly Beauty gently leaned down and rested her head on his arm. She looked at his sleeping, handsome face from the side. Slowly, she stretched out her jade-like hand, as if she was afraid of waking him up. Very, very gently, she caressed his face and touched his lips. Her pale and bloodless little face was like rouge melting in water. Slowly, it was stained with a thin layer of red, slowly seeping out from her skin. A young girl's blush was like a jade halo. Instantly, it caused her entire body to be filled with vitality, and she was like a flower that was about to bloom and was silently trembling as it bloomed. When Yu Yang woke up, it was already the stars in the sky. In his arms, Sickly Beauty's head was pillowed on his chest. Her body was curled up, nestled in his arms, like a fragile little grass that could not withstand the wind. When Yu Yang carried her up, even though his movements were extremely gentle, she immediately woke up. There's a sweaty smell on your body. It's so smelly. Sickly Beauty did not struggle to get up, nor did she leave his embrace. She only smiled teasingly. When Yu Yang went into the lake to take a bath, she lifted the corner of her skirt and stepped on the cool lake water. She did not avoid him at all. She gently caressed his back like a white orchid. You're just a big kid. You don't even know how to take care of yourself, not to mention others. Her last sentence was left in her heart. She did not say it out loud. In fact, she wanted to say in her heart, you don't know how to take care of yourself, nor do you know how to take care of others. So I'll have to take care of you. She pressed Yu Yang down to sit down and gently wiped his back. Although it was her first time doing this in her life, she did it very well. Even Sickly Beauty herself felt that she had a talent for serving people. When Yu Yang was enjoying it, he looked back and saw her delicate face. Under the starry sky, she was as moving as a goddess. He could not help but reach out and pull her into his arms. His lips kissed her slightly startled cherry lips, sealing her scream. Sickly Beauty was shocked, but she quickly reacted. Between their lips, there was a wonderful electric shock. Following the heat of his lips, it spread throughout her whole body. It was so comfortable that even her soul was trembling. She did not know when, but he had already invaded her teeth and captured her little tongue. Under that kind of tyrannical and unreasonable sucking, the Sickly Beauty felt as if her soul was almost sucked away by him. She could not help but cater to him. When he was greedily kissing her, she naturally knew how to kiss him back. Moreover, she became more and more skilled with each kiss. She went from being clumsy at the beginning to being able to cooperate with him. It only took a few minutes. Following her natural instincts and the feeling of her body, she closed her eyes. Her long eyelashes intertwined, and her jade-like arms hugged his neck tightly. She fell into his arms and half raised her head to kiss him, lingering endlessly. The sky, the earth, the lake, the swimming fish, the little prawns, the night stars, the night wind, everything no longer existed. There was only him and her left in the world. There was only the sweetness and lingering affection between their tongues. When he fed the little rebirth pill that he had painstakingly refined into her mouth, this time she did not reject him at all. Instead, she swallowed it obediently. Love caused her to burst forth with the greatest desire to save her life. At this moment, she no longer wanted to die alone. She wanted to be with him forever, forever. Yu Yang peeled off the wet clothes on her delicate body. She did not stop him. She only shyly and trembled as she buried her little head into his chest. She did not dare to look him in the eye, because she was afraid that he would see her embarrassment in his clear eyes. Hugging this trembling, delicate body, Yu Yang finally felt how light she was. Like a feather, almost weightless. Cool, smooth, delicate, fragrant. There were no words in this world that could accurately describe her beauty. Under the hazy moonlight, Yu Yang felt that she was as perfect as the moon goddess. Her little face that was buried in his chest blushed. Even her swan-like slender neck was burning red. Her slightly thin and delicate shoulders made people feel pity for her. Her exposed collarbone was stained by the clear lake water, just like a flower bud stained by the morning dew. It added a unique feminine charm to her. Yu Yang did not have a collarbone fetish in the past. He could not even understand the existence of collarbone fetishes. But now, he decided to join the ranks of the great collarbone fetishes. This was because he realized that a truly perfect woman's body was flawless. In front of perfection, other than worshiping the wonders of the Creator, what else could he ask for? On her jade-like arms, there was a saintess that was half the size of a fragrant dove. Although he could not see the entire thing, under her unbearably bashful half-covering, his soul was almost blown away by the beautiful cleavage between her two breasts. It was too perfect. It was petite and cute, and its curves could be grasped in one hand. However, at this moment, Yu Yang had completely forgotten about D-milk, E-milk, and G-milk. Damn it, the best treasures were not differentiated by size. Judging beauty by size was the stupidest method. Looking down, it was her slender waist, as well as her round and cute navel. Cold, sickly beauty secretly looked at him, who was swallowing his saliva. She was shy and happy, angry and anxious, and hurriedly gave him a hint. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Yu Yang woke up with a start. He cursed himself for being an idiot. He knew that she was weak, yet he still stood on the lake and admired it. If he froze sickly beauty, that would really be... He held her legs with one hand and her back with the other. He quickly ran back to the small tent and used the snow-white blanket to wrap her delicate body. He also rubbed her hands to give her heat so that she would not really freeze. Seeing how he was so protective of her, sickly beauty's heart warmed. Seeing his wet head, she also sat up and used the pillow towel to wipe his wet hair. It was her first time doing this, but she was as skilled as a wife. Unknowingly, the two of them kissed again. They gently teased each other back and forth. They wanted to entangle each other deeply when they were deeply in love. Yu Yang's hand started to move gently on her lower abdomen and slowly moved downwards. Finally, he gently pressed on her dantian. Although he woke up early in the morning, Yu Yang had never forgotten to treat her illness. He and Xue Wuxia had put in a lot of effort, using a goddess tear, their blood, innate qi, and nirvana flame to refine it. Although they did not have enough medicinal ingredients to refine the legendary rebirth pill, they still managed to refine a brand new pill that was close to the rebirth pill. Yu Yang felt that it could still be refined with more medicinal ingredients, so he temporarily named it as the Little Rebirth Pill. When it reached the advanced stage and surpassed the Rebirth Pill, he would rename it as the Nirvana Pill. There was not enough time to refine the Little Rebirth Pill into the Nirvana Pill. Saving sickly beauty was more important. Perhaps the medicinal effect was not enough, but if sickly beauty consumed the little rebirth pill, she would not have to worry for a few years. This way, Yu Yang would have enough time to refine the nirvana pill. The innate chi that Yu Yang released from his palm flowed through sickly beauty's dantian to the rest of her body. The sickly beauty wasn't used to Yu Yang's hot hands covering her sensitive area. After all, it was her first time being violated. However, she didn't reject him. She suppressed her embarrassment and wrapped her arms around his neck, kissing him tightly without letting go. She was afraid that if she was distracted, she would moan unhappily. The feeling of his true energy flowing through her body was both comfortable and uncomfortable, especially when the little rebirth pill spread in her abdomen. The medicinal power followed his true energy and permeated throughout her body, making her feel extremely hot and unbearable. Beads of sweat seeped out of her body, filling the entire tent with her unique virgin fragrance. Yu Yang took the initiative to press on her delicate body. He was a little careful, afraid that if he used too much force, sickly beauty would be hurt. On the contrary, she had a very strange feeling. It was as if no matter how weak her body was, she could still bear his weight. Being pressed by him, she did not feel suffocated. Instead, there was a kind of incomparable pleasure. Perhaps this was a woman's talent. In addition to her shyness, she could clearly feel his high spirits. It was hot, hard, and majestic. It made her tremble. When it slid past her thighs and gradually approached, sickly beauty's heart was filled with panic. She knew what was going to happen next. She also knew what it meant. It was the end of her virginity and also the beginning of becoming his wife. She knew all these, but she did not know what she should do. She was even more afraid that her clumsy body would affect his attack and cause him to fail. Slow down. Her heart was already prepared, but her body did not know how to react. She could only stall for time, trying her best to think while she was panicking. Relax a little more. Yu Yang's battle experience was personally taught by Pirate King Wu, Tonglan, and the others. Although his theories were very rich, he had never been on a real battlefield. He did not panic and was still very calm. He was thinking about how to fight his first battle well. From now on, he would fight his way to become the invincible great general who would win every battle in the future. But his heart was beating faster, and his palms were sweating. These reactions were unavoidable. When sickly beauty saw that he was sweating profusely, her motherly instincts were aroused. She quietly opened her legs, suppressing her embarrassment. As he approached, she gently guided him. In the end, the knight raised his spear and rode his horse. From a small jump, he slowly charged into the beautiful princess castle and broke the door. In the midst of the girl's painful cries, Yu Yang and sickly beauty became one. Does it hurt? Yu Yang was afraid that his movements would be too rough and hurt sickly beauty. Softer. Sickly beauty realized that this brat was really gifted. At first, she almost died from the pain. Even though he was very gentle and careful, it was still hard to bear. Furthermore, the door of life that had never been opened before was even more delicate and fragile than a flower petal. How could it withstand such a strong attack? However, after he successfully broke through the barrier of protecting his virginity, the two of them became one and gradually adapted. Pain still, but out of sickly beauty's expectations, she was actually able to withstand the invasion that she originally thought was impossible to withstand. Maybe this was a woman's nature and gift. The mysterious creator created both men and women, so he must have given them a unique gift. Otherwise, how could the human race continue to exist? Yu Yang's gift was different from others. At first, she thought that he would not be able to withstand such a weapon. But now, it seemed that even with her weak physique, she was destined to be the woman created by the Creator to be able to withstand him. When sickly beauty thought of this, she was even more touched. She took the initiative to offer her fragrant lips and kiss him, letting the fire of passion drive away the pain. At the same time, she hugged her lover tightly with all four limbs, welcoming his attack in the blissful pain. She was already his wife, and it was her greatest duty to make her lover happy and make him happy. The two of them who were immersed in their love did not notice that on their bodies there were countless runes appearing on each other's skin, moving, exchanging, and recombining into new patterns. At the same time, in the small garden, Shui Wuxia, Qian, and Fallen Flowers sat quietly under the eaves, looking at the stars in the sky. Suddenly, Shui Wuxia's body trembled slightly. Then, Qian and Fallen Flowers also felt a slight sensation. Shui Wuxia pulled up her sleeves and found that the runes from when she practiced body fusion with Yu Yang were slowly appearing. Princess Sisai and Castellan Fallen Flowers also had a few runes floating out of their bodies, as if they were resonating with something. Seems like it's a success. Shui Wuxia immediately reacted. She stood up, looked at the sky, and murmured. Then, she went back to her room to rest. When that guy does bad things, our bodies will still resonate with each other. Castellan Fallen Flowers heard Shui Wuxia's words and also reacted. She blushed and quickly went back to her room to rest, so that Princess Sisai would not see her shy expression. However, when she passed by Princess Sisai, she quickly reached out and grabbed Princess Sisai's proud breasts. Under Qian's shocked expression, she quickly ran back to her room and laughed. No wonder Yu Yang always drooled when he stared at you. It feels really good, huh? If you want to play with yourself. Princess Sisai was furious. Then, she immediately vented her anger on Yu Yang. Damn pervert, pushing me down is the most annoying. Chapter 273. On the second day, Yu Yang woke up from a comfortable sleep that he had never experienced before. His whole body was filled with power. In his body, other than the Yang fire ability and Yin ice ability, there was another mysterious power that harmonized the ice and fire ability, allowing the two types of energy to coexist more harmoniously in his Dantian. That mysterious power was very small, but it was extraordinarily strong. It could easily rotate the Yang fire ability and Yin ice ability. From time to time, it would push the two types of energy into his body, strengthening the forging of Yu Yang's body. From time to time, it would slowly absorb the pure energy from the heavens and the earth to replenish Yu Yang's Dantian, continuously increasing the ice and fire ability. Yu Yang didn't understand. Could this mysterious power be the product of his and Sickly Beauty's coming-of-age ceremony? Did he obtain it last night? Towards things that he couldn't understand, Yu Yang's way of dealing with it was to ignore it. When he opened his eyes, he discovered that Sickly Beauty, who was only wearing a shirt, was lying on top of him. She was studying his body while taking notes in her notebook from time to time. Sweat. I didn't expect her to have this kind of hobby. Yu Yang wanted to open his mouth to tease her a little, then press her fragrant body down and continue the battle that he had stopped because she couldn't win last night. His big hands had just hugged Sickly Beauty's soft waist when he suddenly realized that there were many runes faintly appearing on their bodies. No wonder Sickly Beauty would take out a notebook to record. She was an absolute rune fanatic. Don't move, I haven't seen it yet. Sickly Beauty removed his naughty hands from her breasts and placed them on her slender waist. She kissed him lightly to appease him. Then she continued to record. Yu Yang's naughty hands slid down and gently rubbed her amazingly elastic buttocks. The Sickly Beauty glared at him tenderly, but didn't stop his mischief. If it was in the past, she definitely wouldn't do it. But today, she was already his little wife. Her jade-like hands gently pressed against his chest, indicating that she would continue to study and record the runes on his body, and that she would not accept his challenge. She knew that he would definitely not agree if she said that she wanted to study runes, so she could only act coquettishly. Scoundrel, I'm still hurting there. Who asked you to be so reckless last night? My waist almost broke. I can't do it now. Seeing the apologetic look in Yu Yang's eyes, she hurriedly used her wife's tenderness to comfort him, kissing his lips lightly. Let me rest for a while. Even if you want to do something bad, you can't do it now. After that, she offered her sweet little tongue for him to kiss. She coaxed him for a while before letting him lie down. You didn't sleep well at all last night. Why don't you sleep a little longer? Although Yu Yang was not tired, he wanted to sense the new mysterious power in his body. Closing his eyes, he followed sickly beauty and copied the runes on his body. He silently activated the mysterious energy in his dantian and carefully sensed it. This mysterious energy could have been awakened in his body, or it could have been obtained from sickly beauty's body. Yu Yang couldn't sense its true origin, but he knew that it was his body's harmonizer. It was extremely beneficial to his body, and its energy was pure, slightly different from innate qi. Innate qi was different from yang fire ability and yin ice ability. Innate qi couldn't be fused with these two types of energy. It was an independent existence, unique. This mysterious energy could easily fuse with the two types of energy. Furthermore, it could be separated from the two types of energy using a gentle method to control and push them. The biggest difference between the mysterious energy and innate qi was that it didn't have any attack power. It didn't have any. It only had a supportive effect on his body. Of course, this kind of supportive effect was extremely powerful. Yu Yang felt that if he could develop or obtain more mysterious energy, his battle power would increase by many folds. Yu Yang closed his eyes and touched sickly beauty's dantian in her lower abdomen. The sickly beauty thought that he was being mischievous and wanted to arouse her lust. She rebuked him lightly and lightly hit his hand. Then she grabbed it and kissed it lightly. She then placed his hand on her waist and let him hug her as he continued to sleep. Although it had only been a few seconds, Yu Yang had already clearly sensed the existence of this mysterious energy in the sickly beauty's body. It was just that the energy in her body was extremely faint, almost insignificant, so she had not been able to sense it yet. Regarding this, Yu Yang suddenly understood. This was most likely the product of the pitiful guy's mother sorting out the ancient body fusion technique to the body fusion technique realm. The pitiful guy's mother didn't manage to sort out this part of knowledge because the civilization she left behind was incomplete. Maybe there was, but Yu Yang's level 4 divine vision wasn't able to see the truth, so he couldn't figure it out. When he found out that there was also something in sickly beauty's body, he finally understood that he had unintentionally reached the body fusion technique realm of the body fusion technique realm. According to the records of the pitiful guy's mother, Yu Yang couldn't reach it so quickly. Yu Yang suspected that it was because he was an innate rancor, or because he had the innate invisible sword chi, or was it because his and sickly beauty's physique was extremely suitable for body fusion technique, so he naturally reached the ultimate goal of others? Of course, the process wasn't important anymore. As long as the result was the result, it was more important than anything else. On this basis, Yu Yang started to fantasize. If he obtained a wisp of mysterious energy through body fusion technique with sickly beauty, then would he get the same if he cultivated with fallen flowers, Qianqian and Wu Xia? If he continued to cultivate with them, would he be able to strengthen this mysterious energy? If the answer was yes, then wouldn't he be able to increase his strength by enjoying his blissful sexual life with them every day? Most importantly, if he had this reason to cultivate, then it would be more justifiable. They would have an excuse in their hearts, so when they cultivate body fusion technique with him, it wouldn't be too awkward. Yu Yang suddenly wanted to flip through the diary left behind by the pitiful guy's mother to see what other secrets were hidden in it. In the past, his level 4 divine vision wasn't able to see through it, but now that it had leveled up to level 5, in addition to the innate techniques, Heaven's Eye, he should be able to see through more secrets. Yu Yang thought for a moment and immediately flipped over. This gave sickly beauty a shock. She started to think that he couldn't hold it in anymore. So she hit him lightly shyly, "Let's do it at night. It really hurts." When she saw that he took out the diary from his lich ring, she realized that he only wanted to read the book and not her. She immediately blushed a little, feeling a little guilty that she had misunderstood him. Sickly beauty kissed Yu Yang lightly and caressed his lower abdomen. She originally wanted to touch down and hold the dragon spear to soothe its heat, but she couldn't hold back her embarrassment and caressed his chest instead. "Wait for me to finish copying it. The longer it takes, the more the runes will disappear. I'll help you later Although Yu Yang was burning with passion, he wasn't in a hurry to do it with her immediately. After all, her body was weaker than a normal girl's, and she had just lost her virginity. If he forcefully took her now, it would only worsen the damage to her delicate flower. He smiled at her and hugged her body. He picked up the diary and activated his innate chi, using his heaven eyes' divine vision to further explore the secrets inside. Sickly Beauty didn't know that the diary contained a mysterious technique, so she didn't ask too much about Yu Yang's personal belongings. She once again focused on copying the runes. Every time she copied a new rune, she would happily kiss Yu Yang's body, expressing her surprise. In order to explore more secrets in the diary, Yu Yang even slightly unsealed his innate level 1 power. Luckily, he had perfect control over his Yin ability. Otherwise, just the slight innate chi that he emitted would be enough to send this small tent flying. Yu Yang used the power of water to condense his chi into a ball shape, then turned it into a ribbon shape and wrapped it around his arm. He moved it up his arm and gently touched the diary left behind by the pitiful guy's mother. Normally, it would be impossible for him to do this, because the moment his innate chi touched the notebook, it would shatter. However, it was different now. Yu Yang could perfectly control his own chi, making it lighter than the wind and softer than water. Sure enough, this test was right. This diary really needed the help of innate chi to open. Yu Yang was overjoyed. Suddenly, a beautiful and gentle female voice appeared in his mind. "My dear baby, you can hear your mother's voice. This means that you're already an innate ranker. Mother is really happy for you, my baby. Mother has a lot of things that I want to tell you. I want to tell you all the secrets that Mother knows and impart all the knowledge that Mother has in her life to you. But the recorded time is very short, so Mother can't tell you everything. Baby, my son, please forgive Mother. Mother is not a good mother. I can't give you anything in life, and I can't give you emotional needs. Compared to Asien, I'm not even qualified. I don't know how you managed to reach the innate realm, but I know that it must be very difficult. You must have put in a lot of effort to become an innate ranker. Mother is proud of you. How I want to see you become an innate with my own eyes. Maybe you're already taller than Mother. Maybe you have already married and had children. My baby, maybe you think that innate is the pinnacle of evolution for humans and all life. But Mother wants to tell you no, innate is only a threshold or a ladder for humans and all life to advance to a higher level. When you reach a higher level, you will understand what is a real life. That is something that gods can do. The extreme state of life, the complexity of the world, and the mysteries of the universe can't be described with words, not even 1 in 10 million. The knowledge that Mother has grasped and understood is only 1 in 10 million, maybe not even 1 in 10 million. But my son, I hope that you can follow the path that Mother has walked, continue to move forward, explore more, and go further. Son, Mother misses you very much, every day, but it's a pity that Mother can't live with you. Asien, she is more suitable to be your mother than me. With her taking care of you, I feel at ease. Baby, Mother can't give you anything. I can only tell you some of the knowledge that Mother has learned before. I hope these will be helpful to you. Countless knowledge kept surging into Yu Yang's mind. If it was in the past, he would definitely not be able to take it. But after breaking through the 5th level of innate invisible sword chi, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds, and Yu Yang's brain had also expanded, so he could hold more knowledge without any problems. Although he couldn't organize and comprehend everything, he could at least store it first, and wait for Yu Yang to slowly comprehend it in the future. The pitiful guy's mother wanted to pass on her knowledge to her son, but who knew that she passed it on to Yu Yang, the guy from another world. Of course, in Yu Yang's heart, he also saw her as his mother, even if Yu Yang saw 4th mother as another mother in his life. After receiving the knowledge, Yu Yang immediately felt as if he had become a new person. The runes that he couldn't understand before, he could vaguely understand a little bit of meaning. And the incomplete dual body fusion technique that originated from the ancient times was also completed and perfected. Even Yu Yang had the innate invisible sword chi as a foundation, And with his unique understanding of this dual body fusion technique, he had more experience and understanding and could even increase the power of the dual body fusion technique. Thank you, Mother. Yu Yang suppressed the excitement in his heart and resisted the urge to jump up and roar towards the sky. He took a deep breath, and with a slightly trembling voice, he sincerely thanked this mother who passed on the knowledge to him. Chapter 274. After Yu Yang received the pitiful guy's mother's inheritance of knowledge, he felt that his mind had been greatly enlightened. Just like a student who knew nothing at first, he suddenly received the inheritance of knowledge from primary school, secondary school, university, and even higher. Although he couldn't completely digest it, at least he received enlightenment. As long as he absorbed all the knowledge for his own use, he would naturally become a true university student. Yu Yang's situation was like this. Beasts, combat skills, runes, vision, knowledge, secrets. In short, everything was presented in front of him, dazzling him. He almost drowned in the ocean of knowledge. What's wrong with you? Sickly Beauty noticed that Yu Yang's expression was strange. She felt that his eyes were shining with a strange light. I received my mother's inheritance of knowledge from the notebook. Yu Yang shamelessly called the pitiful guy's mother as his own mother. But no matter what, he had to settle this first. Under the situation where the fake Yu Qiu slandered him and accused him of being an imposter, Yu Yang had to be careful. He definitely couldn't let his beloved women suspect him. He didn't have the chance to refute them before, but this time he wanted to give them a psychological hint that he was the unquestionable Yu clan's third young master. This was because he could receive the pitiful guy's mother's inheritance of knowledge. With this, no matter what the fake Yu Qiu did, he believed that the girls wouldn't believe him. Shui Wuxia, when she knew that he had received the pitiful guy's mother's inheritance of knowledge, he believed that she would be very happy. Yu Yang could feel that Shui Wuxia didn't care about whether he was real or fake. She wouldn't ask for the truth, but if he could receive his mother's inheritance of knowledge, it would prove that her dark thoughts in the Virgo temple were wrong. Of course, she would be more happy. Really? That's great. Sickly Beauty was overjoyed when she heard this. There was nothing that could make Sickly Beauty happier than receiving knowledge. In Sickly Beauty's heart, mountains of gold and silver couldn't even compare to the value of a book. If Yu Yang had obtained something else, she wouldn't be so excited. It was Yu Yang's first time seeing such an expression on Sickly Beauty's face. Her little face was flushed with excitement, and her eyes were shining with joy. Her cherry lips were so happy that she could not help but kiss his cheeks repeatedly. At the same time, she let out waves of happy cheers. He was overjoyed and decided to give her an even bigger surprise. Traceless, although I haven't been able to absorb even 1% of Mom's knowledge, I think I can understand the ancient runes now. For example, the rune on my arm. The meaning of this rune should be vitality. Of course, the meaning and changes it contains are plentiful. Just using vitality to describe it is far from enough. If vitality and life are combined, it will become youth restoration. If it is combined with battle, it will become full endurance. If it is combined with sweet dew, it will become cure disease. Wow! Sickly Beauty looked at Yu Yang happily. She was so happy that she almost went crazy. She was a rune fanatic. She had been since she was young. She had even experimented with runes on her own body. In the end, her body could not take it anymore, and she almost died. Now that she heard that Yu Yang could understand runes, she was so touched that she almost burst into tears. She hugged his arm and gestured for him to explain to her, like a dying person who had just received a bottle of cool spring water. Runes, in the knowledge inheritance, are also known as God's language. Mom doesn't know who created them. She only classifies them into a few types. The first type is the ancient runes, which is what we are seeing now. There are a total of 72 runes, and each of them represents a different meaning. When combined, it is even more varied and rich. The second type is the immemorial runes. There are a total of 36 of them. Every one of them is extremely rare. It is very difficult for us to see them. The immemorial runes are extremely powerful. All right, the core of the world-exterminating wheel is formed by the immemorial runes. There's another type of summoning runes that are weaker, called the heaven runes. According to legend, it is used by the heaven realm. Its power cannot be compared to the ancient runes, let alone the immemorial runes. However, to the humans of the soaring dragon continent, it is still very powerful. The silver runes that you studied previously are the heaven runes. They are different from the ancient runes and immemorial runes. They have certain flaws. That's why your body was affected. Lastly, there's another type called the dwarf runes. This type is not a summoning rune at all. It can only be imprinted on metal or other objects with external force to achieve a very weak effect. Very few people in the soaring dragon continent know about this, but the puppet dolls that the Yu clan created used this type of dwarf runes. According to Mom's inherited knowledge, let alone the soaring dragon continent, even in the various regions of Tong Tian Tower, only a few humans would use this type of dwarf runes. This type of dwarf runes is actually a branch of the heaven runes. It has been in decline in the soaring dragon continent for a very long time. Only the dwarves of the outer realms have preserved it completely. Hence, it is called the dwarf runes. So it's like that. Sickly Beauty was intoxicated by what she heard. Rune is a very special summoning technique. It's the same as summoning beasts. Everyone's capacity is limited. Yu Yang's memory flowed like a tide, unceasingly explaining to the sickly Beauty. You mean to say that my body has too many runes, and I have overdrafted? Sickly Beauty grasped the main point of the problem. This is part of the reason. The most important thing is that the heaven runes are a type of runes with flaws. They cannot be compared to the ancient runes, let alone the immemorial runes. It has a huge backlash and damage to the user. When you study the heaven runes, your body was strengthened, but you almost paid the price of your life. Yang told her this mainly to advise her not to focus her research on the heaven runes, so that her body would not be injured again. Yes, I will be careful. Sickly Beauty naturally understood the meaning behind his words. Seeing that he was so worried about her, she couldn't help but feel sweet in her heart. It's a pity that although I have received the inheritance of knowledge, my understanding of runes is still not enough. Yu Yang sighed slightly. He had obtained a treasure mountain and also had the key to open it. However, his strength alone was not enough to move the entire mountain. It felt like he had learned how to write. He could read and write every word, but he couldn't write a good article in one go. Being able to understand runes did not mean that he could use runes. Of course, Yu Yang had not completely absorbed the inheritance of the pitiful guy's mother's knowledge. Once he had completely digested it, he would definitely be able to use it. He was only sighing because he was anxious. Sickly Beauty hurriedly comforted him. She knew that being able to receive the inheritance of knowledge was already a great fortune. In comparison, she had spent so many years researching and still gained nothing. That would be called a failure. Don't be anxious. We have a certain level of understanding towards runes now. We're no longer blind people trying to figure it out. As long as we have time, we will definitely be able to display its true power. Sickly Beauty hugged Yu Yang and pressed her soft body against him. She kissed his lips lightly, telling him not to be anxious. Come, let's study it together. Let's start with the easiest dwarf runes first. Yu Yang remembered that Elder Yu Hai had asked Fourth Mother to give him a puppet grimoire. At that time, he didn't pay much attention to it. Because the puppet grimoire's mechanical puppet grimoire made Yu Yang dizzy, he didn't study it in detail. Now that he took it out again, Yu Yang flipped it open. Sigh. Now that he looked at it, these were all elementary school level stuff. Mechanical puppet grimoire was extremely complicated for warriors who didn't know about it. However, for Yu Yang who had obtained the inheritance of knowledge, it was too easy. Even if Yu Yang had never created a beast before and didn't even know about it, he would immediately understand after looking at it. This thing was actually like this. It was like a university student looking at elementary school questions. No matter how complicated it was, he would still be able to understand it easily. In the puppet grimoire, the most mysterious and difficult rune engraving was the easiest for Yu Yang. This was even easier than the 9-9 chant that Yu Yang learned in elementary school. 1 by 1 is 1, 2 by 2 is 2. In the end, 9 by 9 is 81. Yu Yang could easily understand the meaning of every dwarf rune. He could understand the effect of combining them with just a glance. He didn't need to memorize them like the Yu clan's elders from generation to generation. In the puppet grimoire, Yu Yang even found more than 10 wrong combinations. The only thing that surprised Yu Yang was that the Yu clan elders copied the ghost genius Yu Gong's rune combinations. None of them were wrong. Yu Yang summoned the quintet golden puppet mice again and held them in his hands. He looked at them with his heaven eyes divine vision and sweated profusely. In every core of the quintet seeking golden mice, it was not the dwarf runes that the Yu clan knew how to use, but the ancient runes. Even in the torso of the quintet seeking golden mice on their limbs, there were a few heaven runes that combined together. It was extremely exquisite. This ghost genius Yu Gong was indeed an extremely powerful fellow. Yu Yang only saw the truth now. He was truly shocked by the quintet golden puppet mice created by the ghost genius Yu Gong. He thought to himself, no wonder Yu Gong could become one of the 3 heroes of the Yu clan's revival. With his knowledge of runes, if he used it well, not only could he revive the Yu clan, he could even upgrade all the warriors in the Xia Empire or even the soaring dragon continent. It was a pity that the ghost genius Yu Gong died early. Otherwise, he would definitely be a powerful person that would be praised for thousands of years. Among the people, it was not wrong to call Yu Gong one of the 2 saints. The ghost genius Yu Gong was worthy of the title of saint. Compared to Yu Yang, who inherited the knowledge, Sickly Beauty had a hard time reading. Sometimes, before she could understand the intricacies, Yu Yang had already flipped the page. However, she was very relieved. As long as her husband mastered this mysterious summoning rune technique, she could slowly learn from him. She was not in a hurry at all. Let's look at your notebook again. After reading the Puppet Encyclopedia, Yu Yang had a lot of ideas in his mind. He wanted to put them into practice, but he did not have the materials on hand. Otherwise, he would have created a mech beast to try it out. He suddenly remembered Sickly Beauty's research and was overjoyed. He decided to study the slightly more difficult heaven runes. Here, Sickly Beauty happily handed over her most treasured notebook. Her eyes shone brightly as she looked at Yu Yang's focused face. What kind of man was the most attractive? Some women liked generals who bathed in blood on the battlefield. They felt that a general who achieved success through the sacrifice of thousands of soldiers was the most attractive. Some women liked warriors who challenged giant dragons. They felt that a fearless and courageous dragon slayer was the most manly and the most attractive. In this world, there were people who liked high-status princes. There were people who liked refined and courteous nobles. There were even people who liked straightforward mercenaries. But in Sickly Beauty's heart, she liked knowledgeable scholars the most. She felt that people like Yu Yang who focused on knowledge and studied runes with a serious expression were the most attractive. A man who worked hard was the most handsome. Sickly Beauty could not remember where she had read this sentence in a book. Now, she felt that it made a lot of sense. Chapter 275. 3 days later, Yu Yang brought Sickly Beauty back to the little flower garden. Now was not the time to enjoy the world of the 2 of them. There were still a lot of things waiting for Yu Yang to do. At first, Princess Sisai and the others did not expect Yu Yang to come back so soon. They thought that this brat would only come back after enjoying for a week. Of course, that was not the main point. Princess Sisai and City Mistress Fallen Flowers were focusing on Sickly Beauty's steps, as if they wanted to see something. Shui Wuxia and Yu Bing went up to welcome her. One came out to welcome her cousin who had been reborn, while the other ran into her brother's arms. Sickly Beauty was very generous. Ever since she became Yu Yang's wife, she would sit beside him even when she returned to the little flower garden. As for City Mistress Fallen Flowers, who asked her, "Does it hurt?" in private, she just smiled and did not answer. It would be weird if Princess Sisai did not feel pain. Princess Sisai had also seen Yu Yang's bad thing before. If such a huge thing entered her body, wouldn't it hurt to death? However, Princess Sisai was a little surprised that Sickly Beauty was able to endure it with her weak body. Furthermore, she saw that Sickly Beauty's face was glowing. Her face was no longer pale. Instead, she was emitting a healthy, rosy, and gentle radiance. It gave people an indescribable feeling of amazement. Princess Sisai was secretly amazed. She thought that Sickly Beauty would hurt Yu Yang's body and carry him back. She would lie on the bed and rest for a few months. Now, not only did Sickly Beauty's body get better, she also seemed to be nourished and radiant. Princess Sisai was really puzzled. No wonder when Yu Yang pushed her down, it had the effect of beautifying her body. Yu Yang has reached the realm of body fusion. Shui Wuxiao was not surprised by Sickly Beauty's words, because Sickly Beauty had already done body fusion with Yu Yang. With Yu Yang's talent in martial arts, it was expected that he would achieve body fusion. However, Sickly Beauty's next words shocked Shui Wuxiao, because Sickly Beauty said he also mastered the power of runes. Yu Yang hurriedly explained, "No, I only mastered a part of it. Let me put it this way, I only mastered 1/10 of the heaven runes, 100th of the ancient runes, and 1,000th of the immemorial runes. As for the dwarf rune, it's not really a summoning rune. Even if you master 100%, it's useless." He told Princess Qian about the truth behind the runes, and briefly mentioned the inheritance of knowledge he had received. Qian, Fallen Flowers, and the others were all amazed. Yu was even more moved when she heard. Xiao San was able to obtain Ant's knowledge inheritance. This is the blessing of her spirit in heaven, and also the blessing of the Yu clan's ancestors. Mastering the power of the ancient runes, even if it was only 1%, was already incredible. Moreover, as time passed, Yu Yang would be able to digest and absorb more knowledge. He would be able to continue to understand and improve. The ancient runes were profound and difficult to master. As for the immemorial runes, it was needless to say that Yu Yang could only touch a small threshold. Now, Yu Yang's main focus was on the heaven runes. In the past 3 days, after Yu Yang and Sickly Beauty's joint research and mutual enlightenment, Yu Yang had mastered about 10% of the heaven runes. Sickly Beauty had less. Although she had researched for a long time, she was still at the stage of understanding. She estimated that she had only mastered about 1% of the heaven runes. Returning to the little flower garden, she had the intention to share the results with Princess Sisai, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, and the others. She also wanted to use the wisdom of the group to speed up their learning. After all, everyone's comprehension was different. Maybe in some aspects, Princess Sisai and the others could do better and understand more. In order to strengthen her persuasion, Sickly Beauty summoned her crystal beast armor. In order to let Sickly Beauty's body recover, Yu Yang used a lot of innate qi to rearrange the heaven runes on her body. Of course, there was no way to change it completely in a short time. However, Yu Yang did not need to worry about time. Every time he rearranged the heaven runes on her body, her physique would undergo a huge change. The only thorny problem was to disperse the unnecessary heaven runes on her body. That was the most time-consuming task for Yu Yang. After rearranging the heaven runes and truly understanding the heaven runes, Sickly Beauty's strength increased greatly. When Qian, Fallen Flowers, Yu, Inan, and Yu Bing saw that Sickly Beauty had summoned her crystal beast armor, not only did her outer armor become 100% crystal, her body had also become a flawless existence like a crystal. She looked just like a crystal beauty. Even after the armor was removed, when Princess Sisai used her dagger to cut Sickly Beauty's arm, she was not injured at all. Sickly Beauty said that because she was not good at fighting, she could only use 30% of her power now. If it was Princess Sisai or City Mistress Fallen Flowers, with her heaven runes, she believed that they would be even more powerful. This made Princess Sisai and City Mistress Fallen Flowers palpitate with eagerness. Other than wanting to increase their power, they were also envious of Sickly Beauty's crystal-like body. Since it is helpful to increase my power, I accept. Princess Sisai was not interested in studying runes. but she could not resist the temptation to increase her power. Anyway, she did not need to practice. She just needed to let Yu Yang try to rearrange the heaven runes on her body. As for whether this would let Yu Yang take advantage of her, she chose to ignore it. Heaven runes were like summoned beasts. However, they did not have life and could only assist their master. They did not have any consciousness. They could barely be considered as special type summoned beasts, just that they did not need to use the summoning grimoire's quota. When Sickly Beauty transferred her knowledge to Qian Qian, Fallen Flowers, Inan, Yu Yu, and Yu Bing, Shui Wuxia pulled Yu Yang to the side and asked a few questions about him and Sickly Beauty. In the end, other than praising Yu Yang for taking the initiative to attack, she sighed slightly. Cousin sister used to be very introverted. Even if you want to be with her, you won't be able to give it to her in time. You don't have an unforgettable love, but she will be a good wife. Treat her well in the future. Love doesn't have to be vigorous and vigorous. It can also be a long time. Yu Yang was slightly speechless. Was this considered as love after marriage? He thought about it again and felt that what Shui Wuxia said made sense. Sickly Beauty's personality was too passive. Marriage before love was actually more suitable for her. Thinking about it again, Wuxia had spent a lot of effort for him and Sickly Beauty. His heart was moved again. He reached out and hugged Shui Wuxia's fragrant body tightly. Shui Wuxia did not reject him, but rolled her eyes at him. Time flew. Sickly Beauty continued to pass on the heaven runes knowledge that Yu Yang had told her to Princess Sisai and the others every day. Yu Yang used the various materials that Shui Wuxia had brought back from outside and tried to make a puppet battle doll. Hui Tai Lang did not wake up and slept soundly in the courtyard. Today, the old cunning fox ran over in a sorry state, as if there were 100 hungry wolves chasing after him. He only heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Yu Yang busy at the entrance of the little flower garden. Luckily, you didn't run out, otherwise the sky would have collapsed. What did you say? You are preparing to kill your way into the Yu clan castle? You have a good life ahead of you. Why did you send yourself to die? Are you so bored that your balls hurt? Yu Yang was speechless when he heard this. He reckoned that the old cunning fox had learned this from Fatty High. Why was it that when he casually said some internet thunder, they would pick it up and jump out at him? Before he could speak, he was hit by the old cunning fox's walking stick. The old cunning fox was definitely using his position to take revenge. He had finally given birth to a precious daughter, but before he could even hear her call him father, she was snatched away by Yu Yang. The worst thing was that Yu Yang did not ask him, nor did he give him a betrothal gift. His precious daughter was given to him just like that. If not for Shui Wuxiao mentioning it, he would still be in the dark as a father. He would not know that his daughter had already been defiled by the pervert Yu Yang. Under such circumstances, how could he not be angry? F***CK. Hit me again, and I'll get angry. Yu Yang grabbed his walking stick and grabbed the old cunning fox's collar. He stared at the old cunning fox's old face. Your daughter is sick to the point of death. I'm trying to save her. Do you understand? Furthermore, I like her and she likes me. We are in love with each other. What are you trying to do? I will hit you even if we are in love with each other. Do you think it's easy for me to give birth to a daughter? The old cunning fox was furious. He did not give any betrothal gifts, nor did he invite any matchmakers. He, as her father, did not even know about this. It was already good enough that he did not fight with this brat. Sickly Beauty heard the noise and hurriedly used her body to block Yu Yang. She was a little shy and embarrassed as she said in a low voice, "What are you doing? You can't blame him for this. Go in quickly. Don't make a fool of yourself in front of everyone. I'll explain it to you slowly when we get in." Yu Yang took the opportunity to make eye contact with the old cunning fox, indicating that he should not be jealous. His daughter would have to get married sooner or later when she grew up. The old cunning fox was crying internally. After sitting down and drinking the 100 filial tea that Sickly Beauty and Yu Yang had served, the old cunning fox's mood became a little better. Furthermore, with Princess Sisai and the others around, as a senior, he was too embarrassed to lose his temper in front of the juniors. Holding the teacup, he pretended to be calm and asked Yu Yang, "Brat, what have you been busy with recently? The whole courtyard is filled with broken things." Are you trying to tell me that you want to make puppet beasts? Let me tell you, you better give up quickly. You're not made for this. If we're talking about learning combat skills, you might be able to do it, but if we're talking about making puppet beasts, do you even know what runes are? The old cunning fox thought that Yu Yang had learned some runes from his daughter and wanted to make puppet beasts. He really wanted to laugh at him in his heart. This brat was usually a genius in everything. It was rare to have a chance to mock him. It would be a waste not to scold him. Furthermore, he was his father-in-law now. It would be a waste to scold him. At first, the old cunning fox revealed a complacent smile. However, Yu Bing, who was not convinced that her brother had been misunderstood, immediately retorted, almost causing the old cunning fox to lose his face. At this time, the old cunning fox realized that he had misjudged him. It turned out that this brat had inherited his mother's knowledge and was now extremely powerful. He immediately sweated profusely. Then what kind of beast did you make? It seems like a humanoid puppet. The old cunning fox coughed dryly and changed the topic. I failed. Originally, I wanted to make a battle-type puppet, but I didn't expect that after I completed it, it would only be a labor-type puppet. Even if I made another one, it would still be the same. Yu Yang had originally wanted to make an extremely strong puppet beast. He had high hopes that it would at least be gold-ranked level 6 and above. However, he didn't expect that the materials were not good enough and could not meet his requirements. After he created it, he found out that it was only a bronze-ranked level 6 puppet beast. Hence, Yu Yang decided to modify it and turn it into a labor-type puppet beast. It would not be used for battle, it would only be used for work. Haha, I knew it would be like this. The old cunning fox laughed until his tears flowed down. No, brother's puppet beast is very strong. It's just that the materials are not good enough. Yu Bing quickly explained on behalf of her brother. Hearing Yu Bing's explanation, the old cunning fox looked at Yu Yang and muttered to himself, "You idiot." A bronze-ranked level 6 puppet beast was used as a labor type. Even the Yu clan castle did not have many bronze-ranked level 6 puppet beasts. This brat actually used it as a labor type. It really made people speechless. The old cunning fox ran to the courtyard to take a look and found that the puppet beasts that Yu Yang made were really not bad. He praised him a few times and asked, "These 2 puppet beasts are your first batch of work. You should commemorate them properly. Have you thought a good name? Why don't I use my vast knowledge and flexible mind to think of one for you?" Yu Yang said that he didn't need to worry. He had already made up a name. The old cunning fox asked what they were called. Yu Yang replied seriously, "The one on the left is called Megatron, the one on the right is called Optimus Prime." When he said this, the old cunning fox spurted out water on the spot. After coughing for a long time, he laughed and said, "2 labor-type puppets. Do you think these names are suitable? Forget it. What about this incomplete puppet? What should it be called?" Yu Yang replied with an extremely serious expression, "This one is prepared to be called Ultraman. I specially designed it to fight against small monsters." The old cunning fox fell to the ground. Although Yu Yang had failed in creating gold-ranked level 6 puppet beasts and only obtained 2 bronze-ranked level 6 puppet beasts, the old cunning fox did not dare to look down on him. If he had the best materials, this brat might really be able to create gold-ranked level 6 puppet beasts. Because he was abnormal, everything he did was different from normal people. At first, the old cunning fox wanted to persuade Yu Yang to stay in the little flower garden for a while longer and not start a war with the fake Yuchio. This was because the fake Yuchio had at least a few innate rankers supporting him. He also had the support of the Thousand Goblins sect, Green Summit sect, and Zijin Kingdom. As for whether the Demonic Palace, Demon Abyss Blood Prison, and the Fallen Eastern Goblin Tribe supported him, the old cunning fox was not sure. Under these circumstances, he felt that it would be best for Yu Yang not to start a war. He should wait for Junwu Yu and Elder Yu Hai to return first. Yu Yang thought that now was the best time. When Elder Yu Hai and the others returned, they might be able to see through his flaws. Hence, he had to kill the fake Yuchio before they returned. In any case, the fake Yuchio would have to face the fake Yuchio, the knockoff version against the knockoff version. Yu Yang did not leave immediately. He was waiting for Hui Tai Lang to wake up from his deep sleep. Hui Tai Lang was a good helper, so Yu Yang would definitely bring him along. In this battle, he might be able to kill another 2 innates. If Hui Tai Lang could eat them, he might be able to become an innate world-destroying demon wolf. After another day, Hui Tai Lang finally woke up. Platinum-ranked, level 5 world-destroying demon wolf. When it woke up and opened its eyes, a huge hellfire pillar immediately rose from its body, shooting up to 20 meters into the sky. Its terrifying aura, like that of a demon king, was like a hurricane, forming a shockwave that spread outwards. Even within a radius of 10 miles, one could clearly feel its deterrent aura. That roar that was even more shocking than thunder resounded through the sky. Its potential has not been fully developed. This fellow will become a diamond ranked sooner or later. The old cunning fox was shocked by the huge potential stored in Hui Tai Lang's body. Damn dog, you scared Bing Air. I will kill you and roast your dog meat to eat. Yu Yang rewarded Hui Tai Lang with a kick. Woof! Hui Tai Lang was feeling proud of himself. When it heard this, it immediately retracted its aura and pretended to be a bronze-ranked level 3 iron-back demon wolf. It wagged its tail and ran over to Yu Bing's leg, showing that it was a loyal dog that would never scare its little master. Let's go. Our destination is the Yu clan castle. During this period of time, under Yu Yang's guidance, Princess Sisai's abilities had increased crazily. She could not wait to start battle with her enemies and test out how much she had improved. City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Inan, and Yu Bing had the same thoughts as her. In their eyes, there was also a burning desire to fight. Of course, the one who had the most desire to fight and kill was Yu Yang. He waved his arm and shouted, "Let's go." Chapter 276. Yu Clan Village. The current Yu Clan village was very different from before. After the Xie clan led a large number of experts to destroy it, although it was rebuilt later on, because Elder Yu Hai was captured and the substitute clan master Yu Shan escaped. The new substitute clan master Yu Qiu ordered to turn the Yu Clan village into a defensive fortress. The originally flat road was now piled up with a tall wall. This wall was much shorter than the city walls, but it was almost the same thickness. It was mainly made up of mud walls, bricks in the middle, and wooden planks inside the walls. Because it was newly built, the wall was not completely sturdy. Some places even needed to be supported by huge wooden pillars to ensure that the wall would not collapse when the patrolling guards walked on it. Yu Clan's collateral disciple, Lin Miao, was on patrol with his cousin Lin Lei. Under the scorching sun, he walked round and round. He was timid and did not dare to be like his cousin Lin Lei, who secretly kept a pot of wine in his pocket and drank it when he was thirsty. Although he knew that no one would come, he had to pretend to be on patrol. The newly promoted second steward had an extremely bad temper. Moreover, he was the kind of person who was intoxicated by success and arrogant. He would often ride a fast horse from a Yu Clan castle to the Yu Clan village, like a fox pretending to be a tiger, and shout at the disciples who did not share the same surname. If the second steward caught a disciple who dared to drink while on patrol, not only would his monthly allowance be deducted, he would also be whipped. Of course, the lackey would not come to check in the afternoon under the scorching sun. His fat body would not be able to stand this kind of torture. It's still better than before, Sai. Lin Miao sighed. Before Yu Hai's clan master was captured and the substitute clan master Yu Shan escaped, although the position of the Yu Clan's collateral disciples was not high, they would not become servants. Even among the Yu Clan's few young masters, other than Yu Bao, who was a little annoying, the rest were still all right. For example, Yu Tian and Yu Yan were just arrogant. Although they would not take the initiative to ask questions, they would still nod in response. The fifth young master Yu Ting was even more friendly. He greeted them warmly and addressed them according to their seniority. He did not put on any airs at all. Sometimes when he saw them outside, he would introduce them to his friends. This is our big brother Lin. This is our third brother Shi, etc. As for the abnormal third young master, although he killed people like flies, as long as no one provoked him, he would not care about other people's business. As for the abnormal third young master, although he killed people like flies, he would not care about other people's business unless they provoked him. To be more accurate, if you provoked this abnormal third young master, you would still have your life. If you provoke the abnormal third young master's most respected fourth mistress and seventh mistress Yu Bing and eighth mistress Yu Shuang, you would definitely lose your life. The third young master didn't care about who he was going to kill. Not to mention the branch family members. Even the previous substitute clan master, Yu Shan, was almost killed by him. When the third young master had dragged the fourth mistress and killed their way into the Yu clan castle, Lin Miao had been there to witness it. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants. That was because he was one of the guards that surrounded the third young master and was almost bitten to death by the third young master's ironback demonic wolf. Fortunately, he was lucky enough to avoid it, and his companions behind him blocked the calamity for him. Otherwise, his grave would have been overgrown with weeds. Lay of clan of clans business. Yang is not of Ling, Lin's Ling of Yang clans yelled. There's no one else here. Lin Miao understood that Ling Lei was right. He was just stubborn and did not want to admit his mistake. Just do your job of patrolling. If there is something, ring the alarm bell. If there is nothing, just walk around. When the time is up, go back to rest. Sleep if you want. Eat if you want. If not, find someone to vent your anger on. Why do you have so many complaints? Lin Lei raised his hand and heavily patted his cousin Lin Miao's shoulder as he warned. If you want to live a long life, the only thing you need to do is to fucking pretend to be deaf and dumb. Don't think that you're the savior of the world. The third young master is an innate. He can't do anything. You, a level 2 brave man, want to meddle in other people's business? Do you have the ability to do so? Brother Lei, I was wrong. Lin Miao was afraid of his cousin. Not only was Lin Lei a level 3 hero, he was also very smart. If there was any flaw in Lin Lei, it would be that he loved to drink too much. Originally, the substitute clan master Yu Qiu wanted to promote him to 100-man patrol captain. But because he did not like the smell of alcohol, he gave up on the idea. Lin Lei poured a mouthful of yellow wine into his mouth and patted Lin Miao's shoulder. Let's go. There is still an hour before we can report. Let's patrol one more round. This damned weather is so hot. Lin Miao did not move. He stared at a black dot in the distance blankly. Lin Lei was curious. What was going on? He turned his head curiously and looked at the direction that Lin Miao was looking at. His expression immediately changed, and the wine pot in his hand fell to the ground. Enemy, enemy, enemy. Ring the alarm bell quickly. Lin Miao realized that the black dot was getting closer. It had turned into 2 huge humanoid puppets. They were using ropes to pull a luxurious horse carriage, striding towards them. Although they were not close, the hostility and killing intent of the approaching person could be felt clearly. Even a level 2 brave man like Lin Miao could feel it clearly. It seemed that this was the enemy that the substitute clan master Yu Qiu said to guard against. He had to ring the alarm bell immediately. Idiot, I'm going to knock your head. Can't you see that the third young master has returned? Lin Lei kicked Lin Miao's butt, easily knocking him down. But isn't the third young master a fake? Lin Miao actually did not want the third young master to be a fake. But there was no other way. Becoming an innate at the age of 20 was too unbelievable. It was impossible to become an innate at the age of 20. Saying that the third young master was a fake was somewhat reasonable. No matter how talented other people were, becoming a level 6 elder at the age of 20 was already very scary. But the third young master was an innate right away. How could people believe that he was real? Lin Lei kicked Lin Miao again. Who cares if he is real or fake? As long as you recognize that he is the Yu clan's third young master, that's enough. Of course, Lin Miao knew that he meant well. He patted his butt and stood up, asking uneasily, "Can we really not ring the alarm bell? If the second butler knew about this, we would at least lose a layer of skin." Lin Lei was completely sober now. His whole body was as tense as a leopard. His forehead was full of cold sweat as he snorted. Even if we lose a layer of skin, it's still better than losing our heads. Below the wall, The two steel giants that were as tall as 6 meters pulled the horse carriage with big strides. On top of the horse carriage sat Yu Yang. His expression was incomparably leisurely, as if he was on holiday. However, the killing intent in his eyes made Lin Lei, who was under the scorching sun, feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He shivered continuously as goosebumps appeared on his arms. As if he did not see the two living people in front of him, Yu Yang yawned. The two steel giants raised their iron fists, and with a few punches and a few heavy kicks, they broke a hole in the high wall that the guards had spent more than a month to build. They then easily destroyed half of the adjacent wall and pulled the horse carriage, rumbling as they entered. The iron-backed demonic wolf that wagged its tail like a watchdog was following behind them in a bored manner. Lin Miao remembered this demonic wolf that had almost killed him in an instant. He would never forget its name and figure for the rest of his life. Gray Wolf. When they entered the hole in the wall, Hui Tai Lang glanced at Lin Miao, intentionally or unintentionally. Lin Miao suddenly felt like peeing in his pants. This kind of death-like gaze was too familiar. He could often see in his dreams, even now, dang, 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 dang. The alarm bell rang in the midst of the frightened reactions of the patrolling guards. Lin Miao and Lin Lei saw that in less than 3 seconds, Gray Wolf had flashed 100 meters away and directly toward the two Sure family disciples who had wrung the alarm into pieces, instantly killing them. Lin Miao and Lin Lei looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. If they were the ones who rang the alarm bell just now, they would probably already be. How is this an alarm bell? This was basically a death knell for them. Third young master, you are finally back. Lin Lei's lips trembled as he spoke. Other than fear, there seemed to be a little joy in his voice. Lei, brother Lei, what are you doing? When Lin Miao saw Lin Lei running down the high wall towards the horse carriage, he thought that he was going to fight with the third young master. He quickly jumped down and hugged him tightly. I'm not doing anything. I'm just following them to take a look. When Lin Lei saw Yu Yang's horse carriage returning, he suddenly felt a surge of warmth in his heart. He made a decision that he would never have thought of a minute ago. This decision was very crazy. A minute ago, Lin Lei would definitely not have made this decision. However, the current him was willing to gamble with his life. He decided to follow the third young master's horse carriage. He knew that this battle was a battle between two tigers. Yu Qiu and Yu Yang, this pair of father and son, were like two fierce tigers. When they fought, one of them would definitely die. The most important thing now was to stand on the right side. If he waited until the outcome of the battle was decided, it would be too late. He had to choose his target before the battle, otherwise he would be finished. No one would like to sit on the fence, and no one would like to sit on the fence. Lin Lei made a decision. He decided to support the weaker Yu clan's third young master. This was a crazy move. He could lose his life at any time. However, if he made the right bet, it would change his life. At least, he would not have to lower his head in front of the Yu clan anymore. He would be able to hold his head high like a real man, living as a human and not a dog. You are crazy. Lin Miao felt that his cousin had gone crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I'm not drunk either. I am more sober than ever before. Miao, listen to me. Either you come with me, or you kill me. Lin Lei stared at Lin Miao. His gaze was like a madman, scaring Lin Miao so much that he started to sweat. Lin Miao thought for a while and shook his head. Brother Lei, I will stay here and continue to be a sentry. Nonsense. You know that it is impossible. No matter who wins or loses, we will not need a sentry anymore. Third young master will pass through here. Do you think it will be fine if you stay here? Lin Lei gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. He took big strides and followed behind the horse carriage. Hui Tai Lang warned him not to come near, but it did not attack. Of course, this was because Lin Lei had raised his hands and made a surrender gesture. Otherwise, his throat would have been bitten off by Hui Tai Lang. Lin Miao was so anxious that he scolded them for a long time. Seeing hundreds of guards coming after hearing the news and retreating in front of the carriage, he gritted his teeth painfully, pounded his chest with his fists, and gave himself 2 hard slaps. Then he rushed up with a hoarse roar. Brother Lei, Wait for me. I'm going to risk it all. Lin Lei did not praise him, but Lin Miao could not remember how many years it had been since he last saw the praise in his eyes. Yu Yang, who was on top of the horse carriage, glanced back. The corner of his lips curled up slightly. He smiled faintly. Wait, you have guts. As a little brother, you did not inform me, your boss, and actually came here to fight with others? How can you not have a boss to protect you? I am your boss. If word gets out that you're acting like this, I, Master Hai, will lose all my face. Fatty Hai rode on the iron rhinoceros and galloped over from behind. He had not even arrived, but his voice was already loud enough to shake the sky. Don't forget about us. Yi Kong and the Li brothers appeared together with Fatty Hai. Chapter 277. The clan guards who heard the news at the Yu clan village were the most pained. They knew that the Yu clan's third young master was an innate, and he killed without batting an eye. Whoever dared to block his way was definitely looking for death. However, the substitute clan master Yu Qiu was also a ruthless person. Even the previous clan master Yu Shan was scared to the point of escaping. He captured and killed everyone in the clan. The most ruthless thing was that even though he had an innate rancor as his son, Yu Qiu didn't want to admit it. He even ordered for him to be arrested. Everyone said that even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its cubs. Yu Qiu didn't even want to let his son go. If he found out that he ran away, how could he live? The third young master was an innate rancor, but Yu Qiu also had a few innate rancors supporting him. This battle would definitely be disastrous, as the Ant-like clan guards, they were in a difficult situation. If they advanced, they wouldn't be able to live. If they retreated, they wouldn't be able to die. They really didn't know what to do. Hence, they could only surround the carriage pulled by the two steel giants, retreating step by step. Some people saw Lin Lei and Lin Miao following from afar. They didn't understand at first, but they realized later on that these two fellows wanted to change sides. Lin Lei, Lin Miao, what are you two trying to do? Even if the guards were as brave as water tanks, they wouldn't dare to block Yu Yang's carriage. However, they had to find an excuse to make things difficult for Lin Miao and Lin Lei. It was a battle between soldiers against soldiers and generals against generals. If they couldn't beat the innate rancor third young master, could they beat the Lin brothers? I believe that the third young master is real. There must be some misunderstanding. Lin Miao knew that it was too late to regret now, so he might as well go through with it. Brothers, be smarter. Don't forget your roots. I'm not betraying you. I'm truly loyal to the Yu clan. His Majesty and the old marshal had personally acknowledged the third young master. During the Xie clan's crisis, the third young master stood up and protected the entire Yu clan. Now that His Majesty and the old marshal are not here, someone is taking advantage of the chaos. Although I can't resist, I will definitely follow the third young master, because the third young master is the Yu clan's legitimate heir. He is the hope of His Majesty and the old marshal, not an outsider. I say, brothers, we are all brothers. If any of you don't miss our old friendship, feel free to come and try. I will risk my life to accompany you. Lin Lei pulled out his long saber and stared at the surrounding guards. His words caused many family guards to lower their heads. There were also people who were on good terms with Lin Lei who shouted, Lin Lei, why do you have to do this? This is a battle between the upper echelons. It's not something small people like us can interfere in. Lin Lei pointed at Grey Wolf and shouted passionately, do you see that? The dogs by third young master's side live like humans with dignity. But we as humans live like dogs. I don't want to be a dog. I want to be a human. Even if I can only be a human for a day, I can die without regrets. His voice resounded through the streets of the Yu clan village, piercing through the clouds. Half of the family guards who had surrounded him exploded. After a long time, a dozen hot-blooded guards rushed over and stood together with Lin Lei. Even more people lowered their heads in shame and quietly retreated out of the encirclement. The eyes of the remaining people flickered. Under Grey Wolf's roar, it was unknown who took the lead to scream and ran away. They fought to be the first and ran towards the Yu clan castle in a chaotic manner. At the Yu clan castle in the middle of the mountain, a few innate rancors appeared in the sky. Their radiance was comparable to the scorching sun. They released their aura together, and their terrifying aura formed a shockwave. It was as if a tsunami was crashing down towards Yu Yang, who was on top of the carriage. TSK. Yu Yang sneered disdainfully. He was no longer the Yu Yang who pulled the carriage and fourth mother to the Yu clan castle that day. That day, his strength was not high. He was only a level 6 elder. But today, he had already killed close to 10 innate rankers. Tu Chung, Quang Zhan, Mr. Duan Mu, Lu He, Goblin General Dream Eater, Goblin General Zidiao, Jade-scaled twin-headed snake, fire-tailed spirit snake turtle, and the 9-headed goblin marshal, who could kill the flying tiger ambassador in an instant, had all fallen under Yu Yang's feet. With the help of Shui Wuxia and the others, he had mastered the 5th level of innate invisible sword chi. With sickly beauty's body fusion, he had mastered the body fusion realm. He had even obtained the knowledge of the pitiful guy's mother and mastered the power of summoning runes. With this kind of Yu Yang, would he still care about the pressure from a few innate rankers? Yu Yang's reply to the few innate rankers' provocation was a middle finger of disdain. With regard to the 4 innate rankers' combined pressure, Yu Yang did not feel anything. However, Lin Miao was so scared that he almost peed his pants. His whole body was trembling, as if he was a sick person who had been drenched in snow. He looked at Lin Lei and saw that Lin Lei was clenching his teeth tightly. Both of his hands had turned pale from gripping the hilt of his sword too hard. Although he was not trembling in fear, Lin Lei's face was as ugly as a dead man's. Fatty Hai, who was riding on the iron rhinoceros, mocked. "Are you kidding me? A fart from a few innate rankers could make your legs tremble in fear even from 10 miles away. Are you guys really men? Do you really have a fart in your pants? Aren't you afraid?" Lin Miao asked with a trembling voice. Seeing that Hai Dashao's expression was normal, he immediately admired this fatty. "Nonsense. Why would I be afraid from so far away? Why would I be afraid of them? Haven't you heard how bold I, Hai Dashao, am? Let me tell you, I am not afraid of anything. Other than being afraid of beautiful women falling in love with me and wanting to marry me no matter what, I am not afraid of anything else. Damn, there's a guy flying over here. Yu Yang, there's a small fry here. You take care of him. Boss, I need to conserve my strength and help you fight the strongest monster later." Fatty Hai saw that there was an innate rancor flying down from the Yu clan castle like a meteor. The rumbling aura scared him so much that his heart almost jumped out of his throat. He hurriedly asked Yu Yang to go up. Yu Yang leapt up from the roof of the carriage. With a twist of his hands, he used his Yin ability on his left hand and his Yang ability on his right. Ice and fire formed a magnificent spectacle in the sky. On one side, the cold wind whistled and countless snowflakes floated down. It was so cold that people's teeth chattered. On the other side, it was as hot as a volcano. It was so hot that people felt like they were being roasted on a stove. Everyone's mouth was wide open, unable to breathe. The current yin-yang twin fish was spinning. Its power was 100 times stronger than when it was first used in the New Year's tournament. Following Yu Yang's control, the ice and fire formed a terrifying tornado. Ice and fire collided in the tornado. Purple lightning crackled. The innate rancor who was flying down from the sky was secretly shocked when he saw this. However, he was as powerful as a meteor. Under this kind of full power attack, he had no other choice but to meet it head-on. Meteor against ice and fire tornado. The innate rancor who looked like a middle-aged man met Yu Yang's Hui Jin magic blade with his heavy fist. There was a deafening boom. Everyone felt their vision go black, as if a thunderbolt had exploded in their ears. They were all muddle-headed and couldn't think at all. Many guards who couldn't take it anymore fainted on the ground. Even the family warriors who could hold on were on the verge of collapsing. The shockwave from the collision between the two was like an unstoppable tsunami, engulfing the ground. The fainted family warriors and guards were all blown away. Most of their beasts were killed on the spot. A few of them had their limbs broken. Some of the family warriors who didn't faint used their swords and spears to pin themselves on the ground, using all their strength to support their bodies. They gritted their teeth, and persevered in the terrifying shockwave. Almost everyone spat out blood. Their internal organs were injured by the shockwave. As long as Yikong, Fatty Hai, and the Lee brothers could still stand proudly and look up at the sky. Lin Lei stabbed his sword into the ground, supporting his body so that he wouldn't fall. Blood seeped out from his mouth, nose, and ears. Lin Miao, who was even weaker, hugged Lin Lei's legs tightly, not letting go. He was like a drowning man grabbing onto a piece of straw, unwilling to let go. The luxurious carriage, which looked fragile on the surface, was not damaged at all in this terrifying storm. Even further away, the walls, houses, and watchtowers were constantly collapsing. Bricks, tiles, and wood were all swept into the air, as if there was an invisible and huge demonic hand grabbing them and throwing them into the sky. The battle between Yu Yang and that innate rancor seemed to be a draw on the surface. However, that innate rancor came down from above, borrowing the momentum from afar, and shot towards Yu Yang with the speed of a shooting star. He even leaped up from the roof of the carriage to face the enemy, resulting in a draw. That innate rancor mainly wanted to test Yu Yang's strength, so he left immediately after his attack. However, Yu Yang didn't let him go. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Yu Yang didn't chase after this extremely fast opponent. He only waved his left hand, and countless heat energy immediately gathered, forming a giant flame bow. He rotated his right hand lightly, and all the cold energy condensed in his palm, forming 3 extremely cold ice arrows in the blink of an eye. Yu Yang opened his mouth and chanted, just like how people would summon their beasts. However, the tone of his chant was something that people had never heard before. It was extremely beautiful and pleasing to the ears, as if it was the sound of nature. Silver runes appeared one after another as he chanted, and imprinted themselves on the ice arrows, causing the 3 terrifying ice arrows to be imbued with terrifying destructive energy. Summoning runes? That innate rancor who was retreating quickly changed his expression. He had a strange feeling that no matter how far he ran, no matter how fast he ran, he wouldn't be able to escape from his opponent's ice arrows. Should he continue retreating? Or should he use all his strength to destroy these 3 ice arrows? If he retreated, he would be able to receive support from his comrades. However, if he didn't have enough defense, he might be pierced through by his opponent's arrows. If he used all his strength to defend against the 3 ice arrows, he could only fight alone. If he couldn't defend against it, his life would be in danger. Even if he used all his strength to defend, if this brat continued to chase after him, he would definitely be heavily injured. A difficult choice was placed in front of him. Should he go back, or should he go forward? Yu Yang chanted another rune. Purple electric currents appeared in his hands, crackling and popping. They connected together and rotated at high speed on the flame, bow, and ice arrows. This time, not only the innate rancor who wanted to retreat with 1 strike, even the 3 innate rancors who were watching from afar changed their expressions. If they had the confidence to defend against Yu Yang's 3 ice arrows just now, then they really didn't have the confidence to defend against the 3 ice arrows that had purple electric currents revolving at high speed. Even if it was a beast with the strongest defense, it would probably be pierced through the heart by these ice arrows that were filled with ice, fire, and runes. Previously, they thought that Yu Yang was just a junior who had just stepped into the innate realm. They didn't think that this brat was so abnormal. This kind of controlling ability was definitely not something that a junior who had just stepped into the innate realm could have. Absolutely impossible. Summon Grimoire. The innate rancor who was targeted by Yu Yang's ice arrows finally couldn't bear the fear in his heart. He didn't choose to retreat, nor did he choose to attack. Instead, he chose the 3rd option, which was to summon his platinum grimoire, hoping that the grimoire's protective shield would be able to block these 3 destructive ice arrows. Die. Yu Yang seemed to be waiting for this moment, his eyes filled with killing intent. The 3 ice arrows that contained ice, fire, and purple electric currents flashed and disappeared from Yu Yang's hands. Originally, The grimoire's protective shield that could block all attacks was suddenly shattered like an eggshell. Under the innate rancor's stunned expression, an ice arrow pierced through his heart, killing an innate in an instant. How is this possible? Forget about the outsiders. Even Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and the Li brothers couldn't believe it. They were shocked by Yu Yang's attack. How could a grimoire's protective shield that could block all attacks be pierced through? How did Yu Yang do it? Chapter 278. Master Shun Tian, you have the 5 transformations power. Can you tell what is going on? On top of the Yu clan castle, the youngest innate rancor on the left looked at the man in the middle with a questioning gaze. This is a cunning trick. The innate rancor in the middle smiled. At this moment, the oldest innate rancor on the right retracted his gaze and said angrily, although that brat's ice arrows are strong, they shouldn't be able to penetrate Yao Guang's shield. Even if they could, they shouldn't be able to harm Yao Guang's body. That sly brat took advantage of a loophole and tampered with the ice arrows. The first arrow was the largest and was hollow, while the third arrow directly pierced through the first and second arrows. The first arrow pierced through the platinum barrier, while the second arrow pierced through the first arrow by an inch. Normally, it wouldn't have posed any threat to a light shaking realm cultivator, but the third arrow pierced through the first and second arrows and wasn't stopped by the platinum barrier. That's why a light shaking realm cultivator was hit. The innate rancor in the middle, Shun Tian, waved his hand. Mr. Machi, victory is victory, defeat is defeat. There is no doubt about this. After a pause, he continued, strategy is also a part of battle power, especially in a situation where both parties have similar strength. The one with better strategy would definitely have the upper hand. Furthermore, this Yu clan's third young master's purple thunder ice arrow was indeed controlled by him. The first and second arrows were shot through the air, while the third arrow melted just right. I have to say, this Yu clan's third young master's battle techniques are worthy of our recognition. The oldest Mr. Machi on the right nodded his head, but his eyes were still filled with hatred as he stared at Yu Yang. The youngest innate rancor on the left looked like he was thinking. The man in the middle, Shun Tian, pointed at Yu Yang and said, Yu clan third young master is an expert in fireball and ice arrow attacks. This proves that he has mastered the power of ice and fire. He has just become an innate not long ago, but he already has such mastery. This is worthy of praise. Especially after he shot the arrows, he still has some strength left, which is even rarer. I estimate that he should have reached innate level 3, or even close to innate level 4. Kaiyang, I'm afraid that you and Yao Guang won't be his match. Only Mr. Machi can fight him. Is that so? The youngest Xiantian on the left, Kaiyang, had an unconvinced look on his face. Although he looked young on the surface, he was actually over 300 years old. It could be said that he had been famous for a long time. Of course, in the world of innate rancors, 300 years old was nothing. At most, one could only be considered a young kid among the young. Moreover, an innate expert did not care about age, seniority, or qualifications. All that mattered was strength. As long as one had strength, then even a 20-year-old kid like Yu Yang could obtain the respect of others. If one didn't have strength, then even if he lived for a few hundred years, he would still have to respectfully bow his head and call others adults. The Xiantian lord who had fought against Yu Yang and had his heart pierced by Yu Yang's arrow was Kai Yang's companion, Yao Guang. They were all part of the innate alliance's 7 great bears. Cough, cough. Yao Guang, who had been shot in the heart, didn't die on the spot. In fact, he didn't even fall to the ground. He was heavily injured, so he summoned his medical-type beast to heal himself continuously. Because Yu Yang's purple electric ice arrow contained the terrifying power of ice and fire, purple lightning, and heaven runes, Yao Guang didn't dare to pull out the arrowhead immediately, afraid that the energy in the arrow would explode and blow his whole body into pieces. Now, he could only forcefully support himself in the protective shield and heal himself continuously, hoping that he could slowly heal himself and eliminate the power of Yu Yang's purple electric ice arrow. Now, he regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If he had retreated quickly and escaped back to his companion's side, then with the support of Master Shun Tian, Mr. Machi, and his companion Kai Yang, he would definitely not be in such a sorry state. Even if he could be safe this time, he would have lost all his face in front of the family guards who were watching from below. In his heart, he still thought that after he eliminated the power of the ice arrow, he would definitely kill these family guards. He definitely couldn't let these ant-like humans live after seeing him in such a sorry state. He definitely couldn't let them secretly laugh at him and innate explode. Yu Yang wouldn't give Yao Guang any chance to take revenge after he was healed. He stretched out his hand and clenched it tightly. The ice arrow that was nailed into Yao Guang's chest instantly exploded. Boom! Yao Guang screamed in pain from the explosion. His chest was blown to pieces, and his internal organs flew out, turning into countless ice shards that scattered into the sky. The platinum grimoire disappeared because Yao Guang lost his consciousness. The protective shield was broken, and countless blood and minced meat splattered all over the sky, forming a bloody rain in the distance. Just like a meteorite falling, Yao Guang fell head first onto the road of the Yu clan castle, scaring the few remaining family guards who were watching and causing them to run away hurriedly. There was a big hole in Yao Guang's chest, and his internal organs had disappeared. Only the parts above his shoulders and below his pelvis were still relatively intact. Unfortunately, this tenacious fellow had not completely stopped breathing until now. Yu Yang appeared in front of Yao Guang in a flash. He coldly stared at this pitiful enemy. His killing intent was like that of a demon king. Spare! Yao Guang still wanted to beg for mercy, but he couldn't make any sound. Tears flowed out of his eyes due to fear and pain. He pitifully stretched out his badly mutilated hands towards Yu Yang, begging Yu Yang to spare his life. I'm sorry, I won't be merciful to my enemies. Yu Yang stepped on Yao Guang's head, causing it to explode. So this fellow is a fake. Fatty Hai shouted, Yu Yang, if there are any more fake crybabies like him, I'll take care of them. No matter what, I'm still your boss. If I don't help you get rid of one or two fake innates, I wouldn't be worthy of my title as the invincible, sexy little handsome guy. Meow meow. I thought that innates were very powerful, but who didn't know that there's someone who's even more afraid of death than me? This really disappoints me. Yao Guang, Kai Yang, who was above the Yu clan castle, originally wanted to fly over to help. But before he could arrive, Yao Guang was already killed by Yu Yang's kick. He roared in grief and exploded with all his strength, releasing his innate level 2 strength, descending in front of Yu Yang. Although Shun Tian had warned him that he and Yao Guang weren't a match for Yu Yang, Kai Yang couldn't care less now. Because of the tragic death of his comrade, he was extremely angry. If he didn't have the last bit of control, he would have attacked Yu Yang immediately. The 7 Great Bears had participated in the innate war many times before, and now only 3 of them were left. They were Yao Guang, Kai Yang, and Tian Quan. Now that Yao Guang was dead, and the 7 Great Bears had been destroyed, Kai Yang would definitely feel sad. Seeing that Kai Yang was extremely angry, Fatty Hai was so scared that he trembled. He quietly shouted, Yu Yang, this fellow doesn't seem to be a fake crybaby. It's better if you do it. If you can't do it, just hide further away. Why are you so close to him? Yu Yang was speechless. Maybe Kai Yang was angered by Fatty Hai's words. He was an innate rancor of the 7 Great Bears, but he was actually criticized by a fatty who wasn't even innate, saying that he was a fake crybaby. Kai Yang glared at Fatty Hai angrily. His imposing manner was like a hurricane passing through, rushing towards Fatty Hai, causing the heavy Fatty Hai to retreat 2 steps. With just the power of his glare, Fatty Hai's entire body was pushed back. An innate rancor should never be underestimated. The surrounding guards, regardless of whether they were injured or not, as long as they could still move, they all ran far away. Just now, the 2 innate rancors were fighting in the sky, and there were already countless casualties. Now that they were fighting on the ground, how could they survive? not to mention a direct hit. Even if they were accidentally hit by the sword chi, they would be smashed to pieces. The only ones who didn't run away were Lin Miao and Lin Lei. They stood behind the horse carriage, looking battered and exhausted. However, they didn't pee their pants in fear. Even the timid Lin Miao felt that it was a little unbelievable. Could it be that after following the Yu clan's third young master, their guts grew bigger? Hui Tai Lang laid lazily in front of the horse carriage, yawning, as if he wasn't too concerned about the battle. It wasn't his turn to attack yet. He wouldn't be like Fatty Hai, foolishly running out to snatch the credit from his master. Gold Mammoth, One-Eyed Giant, come out. The target is the horse carriage. Kai Yang's plan was not only to fight with the Yu clan's third young master, he also wanted to summon his gold-ranked beasts and flatten the luxurious horse carriage. Previously, the Yu clan's third young master had pulled the horse carriage and killed his way into the Yu clan castle. This heroic act was praised by the world as the most filial act in the world. Now, if he still pulled the horse carriage and killed his way into the Yu clan castle for the second time, the world would definitely be even more shocked. His enemies would definitely become the laughing stock of the world. Furthermore, the luxurious horse carriage was parked in the middle of a large pile of dilapidated walls. It was extremely eye-catching, making Kai Yang extremely annoyed. Hence, he decided to destroy it in front of the Yu clan's third young master. As for whether he could fight against the Yu clan's third young master alone, Kai Yang was never worried. Behind him, there was still Mr. Machi and Master Shantian. They would definitely not let go of the Yu clan's third young master, who was an innate rancor, because they were the Yu clan's mortal enemies for thousands of years. Destroying the Yu clan was their wish. A gigantic gold mammoth, a gold-ranked level 6 mammoth, was like a small moving mountain. Its long tusks flashed with silver lightning from time to time. It was obvious that this was a lightning-attributed gold mammoth, which was extremely rare. Beside the gold mammoth stood a one-eyed giant that was almost 10 meters tall. It was also a gold-ranked level 6 giant, and its body was covered with heavy armor made of meteoric iron. It wore a giant crown on its head, and a giant golden hammer that could crush anything hung from its waist. The one-eyed giant was slow-witted by nature. Its limbs were well-developed, but its brain was simple. Only a few other species knew how to use weapons. This gold one-eyed giant was obviously one of those species that had extraordinary strength and was proficient in combat skills. Yu Yang, I'll leave the two at the back to you. I'll fight this guy. The valiant and heroic princess, Sisai, suddenly lifted the curtain of the horse carriage and jumped down. She strode forward, her silver armor and giant sword clanging on her back. Your Highness, can you do it? Fatty Hai sweated profusely. His opponent was an innate, not a child. Isn't it just the 7 great bears? They can't scare me. Princess Sisai had been taught by Yu Yang many times. With the experience of fighting against the Eastern Goblin tribe and the Nirvana Flame, her battle power had increased greatly. In addition, she had also mastered some heaven runes in the later stages. Naturally, her confidence had increased. Although she had not stepped into the innate realm, Princess Sisai really wanted to challenge herself. Hence, she decided to fight the weakest of the 7 great bears, Kai Yang. Princess is mighty. I'll forget about it. I'll just fight this stupid elephant. Fatty Hai knew that his strength was limited and he couldn't be a hero. He could only change his target to the gold mammoth and the gold one-eyed giant. Yu Yang's target was the 2 innate rankers that were slowly flying towards him, Machi and Shun Tian. The 2 of them were the real strong enemies. Chapter 279. When Fatty Hai summoned the iron rhinoceros and the little hippopotamus to strengthen themselves, Yi Kong, who had already summoned the King Kong demon ape to strengthen himself, and the Herculean rhinoceros beetle that was nearing adulthood, charged towards the golden thunder mammoth together. Regardless of level or rank, the Herculean rhinoceros beetle was far inferior to the golden mammoth. However, the Herculean rhinoceros beetle, which had a carapace that was as thick as steel, was actually not at a disadvantage when facing the golden mammoth head-on. Although it was pushed back by the golden mammoth, the Herculean rhinoceros beetle was not injured. It was only slightly dizzy. In the sky, Yi Kong, who had strengthened his King Kong demon ape, raised a thick steel rod and smashed it down, heavily hitting the gold mammoth's head. The gold mammoth shook its head, and Yi Kong, whose hands were numb from the recoil, was sent flying. Fatty Hai, who was behind it, raised his iron rhinoceros and little hippopotamus's strength and used a hippopotamus meteor punch on the gold mammoth's rear. This move did not have any effect. Instead, it angered the gold mammoth. With a sweep of its lightning-covered tail, it sent Fatty Hai flying into the air. Under their feet, the Lee brothers, who were supported by the Golden Ant soldiers, brandished their sharp machetes and dashed forward like the wind, slashing at the golden mammoth's hind legs. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the Lee brothers had great teamwork. Under the eagle-eyed Xia Ho Wei Jie's hellish training, they had killed countless strong beasts. But now, it couldn't bite through the golden mammoth at all. This golden mammoth skin was too thick. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others looked at each other in shock after a probing attack. Gosh, this stupid elephant's defense is super strong. We can't bite through it at all. Fatty Hai felt that it was time for him to show off his true abilities that he had been secretly cultivating. Otherwise, he might even be trampled into meat paste by this golden mammoth. Only then will it be interesting. In Yi Kong's eyes, a blazing battle intent surged. The Lee brothers didn't say anything. However, they had trained very hard and were not inferior to Yi Kong and Fatty Hai. Even if their strength was not as good as Yi Kong and Fatty Hai's, these two brothers had also made huge improvements. The other side, the golden cyclops charged towards the carriage. It was holding a gold-tier weapon high in its hand. It was a huge, square-shaped hammer, so heavy that it felt like it could crush everything in the world. The battle between the one-eyed giant and the two humanoid mechanical puppets created by Yu Yang, Megatron and Optimus Prime, was the exact opposite of Yi Kong and the others. The Cyclops swung his hammer. It smashed fiercely on Megatron and Optimus Prime's bodies, as if it wanted to smash them into pieces. If it was any other puppet beast, even if it was a rock puppet that could charge back and forth above an army of 10,000, it would definitely be smashed into a pile of stones under such a heavy blow. However, the giant hammer was completely useless against the two bronze-ranked level 6 mechanical puppets created by Yu Yang. The two mechanical puppets whose names were spoofed as Megatron and Optimus Prime didn't know any offensive moves. They were completely labor-type mechanical puppets. They only knew how to move, carry, lift, pull, take, push, smash, and so on. They didn't know any offensive moves, nor did they know how to dodge. Of course, the crazy idea of using offensive moves and dodging was just Yu Yang's wild imagination. In reality, other than the ghost genius Yu Gong, no one in the Yu clan had ever successfully created a puppet that knew how to use offensive moves. Although Yu Yang's puppet beasts that studied offensive moves had failed and turned into two laborers. However, the defense of Megatron and Optimus Prime, these two labor-type puppets, had reached a terrifying level. The reason was that Yu Yang was very lazy. He hated repairing things, especially Megatron and Optimus Prime, who were only bronze-ranked level 6. In Yu Yang's eyes, they belonged to the level of scrap metal. He was even more unwilling to repair them. Hence, the lazy Yu Yang used his innate chi sword to inscribe an ancient rune on Megatron and Optimus Prime's bodies that made even the old cunning fox go crazy. That was permanent fixation. Other than this permanent fixation that protected Megatron and Optimus Prime, Yu Yang also inscribed a few heaven runes on their exterior, such as automatic recovery, metal melting, external skeleton, and honeycomb skin. The old cunning fox felt that it was a huge joke to inscribe external skeleton and honeycomb skin on the metal mechanical puppets. Why would metal puppets need bones? Forget about bones. Why would they need skin? Could it be that these two laborers wanted to make a 10-meter tall female Titan giant? The old cunning fox didn't understand at that time, but after attacking them for a while, he realized that Yu Yang was a pervert. It turned out that Yu Yang had designed an insect-type exoskeleton on the two laborers' bodies. He made their metal exoskeletons form a layer of metal exoskeleton and added on a honeycomb metal skin that could greatly reduce the impact and heat. With the two combined, the two laborers' defense was simply hopeless. The old cunning fox felt that even if he was given 3 days and 3 nights, he wouldn't be able to destroy these two laborers. What made him want to vomit blood was that these two laborers could even automatically recover. This was because their core was permanent fixation. Unless one had the power to destroy the ancient runes, it would be impossible to destroy these two dumb laborers who only knew how to take a beating and couldn't attack. The Golden Cyclops raised his giant hammer and smashed it on Megatron and Optimus Prime's bodies. Sparks flew and the sound was deafening, but the two laborers were not injured at all. More accurately, every time they were hit, they would automatically recover. The Golden Cyclops was dumbfounded when it raised its square-shaped giant hammer and stared blankly at the two laborers. The two laborers, Megatron and Optimus Prime, who had very impressive names but very weak combat power, pushed down the Cyclops. Of course, it wasn't the kind of push that Yu Yang pushed down Sickly Beauty. This was a normal push. The two laborers pushed the Cyclops to the ground, then raised their legs and stomped on it. Their working procedure was to first push down obstacles, such as walls, and then flatten them with their feet. Then, they would pull the carriage over. They worked 100% according to Yu Yang's plan. No matter if it was a wall or a golden cyclops, they would be pushed down and flattened. The tragic one-eyed giant let out a painful cry under the 4 steel feet. Hui Tai Lang didn't participate in the battle. The main task that Yu Yang gave him was to stand guard in front of the carriage and protect his little master. If the Golden Cyclops got a little closer and entered the territory that he was guarding, then he would be able to attack. But now, he yawned again, feeling bored because he wasn't tortured by the enemy. Gold-ranked level 6 beasts were very difficult to deal with for Yi Kong and Fatty Hai. However, in Hui Tai Lang's eyes, what was gold-ranked level 6? No matter how strong the beasts were, he couldn't remember how many he had eaten. He had even eaten innate rankers before, so a gold-rank beast was nothing to him. The only thing that Hui Tai Lang was looking forward to was the corpse of a demon king. Yu Yang had told Hui Tai Lang many times that even a dog must have great ambitions. If he wanted to eat a demon king, he would have to eat something like that. Hence, Hui Tai Lang's first dream was to eat a demon king. Kai Yang of the 7 Great Bears was fighting against Princess Sisai. At first, he thought that he could instantly kill this royal swordswoman who wasn't even an innate. He didn't expect that not only could he not kill her, he even almost let Princess Sisai injure him, an innate. Kai Yang was very depressed from the fight. Other than the Yu Clan 3rd young master who was glaring at him like a tiger watching its prey, he couldn't focus fully on the fight. During the fight, he was also beaten up by Princess Sisai until he couldn't do anything about it. When he used his ultimate skill that could instantly kill his enemy, Princess Sisai summoned her grimoire and used her protective shield to defend. Kai Yang didn't have the abilities of a Yu Clan 3rd young master, nor did he know how to use Ice Arrow. He couldn't break through Princess Sisai's protective shield at all. His overwhelming energy attacks were useless, so he prepared to use his skills directly. This was because an innate's punches and kicks were also filled with power. They weren't something that a non-innate ranker could defend against. However, he quickly discovered that he had meta battle technique genius, especially Princess Sisai, who had been taught by Yu Yang to capture the enemy's weak points and joints. She was an expert in attacking the enemy's pivots and joints. Kai Yang of the 7 Great Bears flew into a rage. Princess Sisai's attacks were divided into 2 parts. First, before Kai Yang of the 7 Great Bears made his move, before he could use his full strength, she would quickly attack Kai Yang's accumulated strength, making him unable to attack. Second, after Kai Yang forcefully made his move, Princess Sisai would use her protective shield to block it or dodge it. Then, when the opponent's fist was at its weakest, she would counterattack. These 2 attacks made Kai Yang unable to use even 1/10 of his power, making him very depressed. Princess Sisai didn't advance rashly because she was greedy. For the time being, she only continued to provoke the enemy, causing him to go crazy and continuously exhausting the enemy's strength. Actually, she still had a lot of poisonous techniques that Yang had taught her that she hadn't used yet. At this moment, in the horse carriage, City Mistress Fallen Flowers was accumulating her aurora, waiting for the best time to attack. She was prepared to work together with Princess Sisai to get rid of an innate, such as Kai Yang of the Seven Great Bears. They had a battle plan, so they didn't need Yu Yang's help. They had a certain chance of success. Yu Yang's strength had improved greatly, and under his influence, they had also improved a lot. Right now, they were still not innates. As long as they broke through to the innate realm, they believed that they would be of great help to Yu Yang. What an interesting little friend. The innate called Shun Tian stopped 100 meters away. This distance was the safest distance for him. Even if Yu Yang was just a junior, he who was extremely cautious would not look down on his enemies. Shun Tian looked at the expressionless Yu Yang and smiled. He opened his mouth and invited, "Yu Clan's third young master, maybe you can consider joining us. I dare say that as long as you nod your head, you'll be the new leader of the Big Dipper. I will allow and help you build a new 7 stars of the Big Dipper. As for the Yu Clan Castle, the matters of the Soaring Dragon Continent are so boring. If you like, I can give you a continent that is even bigger than the Soaring Dragon Continent." In the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower and above, you can do whatever you want on any continent in the outer realm without any restrictions. As long as you agree, I will suggest to Yu Chio to cancel all the wanted posters, reconcile with you, and share all the secrets of the Yu Clan's puppet palace. The Yao Guang just now, was it a gift that you purposely gave me? You sent him here to die? When Yu Yang asked this, Kai Yang, one of the 7 Great Bears, who was currently fighting against Princess Qian Qian, felt his entire body tremble. Actually, I need an excuse. Shun Tian did not deny it. He smiled and said, "In the Soaring Dragon Continent, innates have to do things according to the terms of the Alliance. They can't go beyond the rules easily. Otherwise, Ji Zun and other innates would have a reason to kill them. I don't want to give others such an excuse. Although it is unknown whether Ji Zun, Elder Nangong, and the others can come back, I like to act cautiously. If one of my companions' deaths can absolve me, I won't mind. You killed Yao Guang, so I have a reason to take revenge. Yu Clan's 3rd young master, you are a smart person. I don't think I need to say much to you. There are only 2 paths between us. One is to cooperate, the other is to become enemies. Choose for yourself." "I choose the 3rd path, the path that I have decided on myself." Yu Yang raised his Hui Jin magic blade, his eyes filled with killing intent. He said word by word, "That is to kill you." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.